Hey, Mago Day. Am I a little bit discombobulated, due to the fact that I was just until recently translating my notes from Scratch that only Renai understands to something that I can actually share with people comprehensively? Maybe, but I'm here, and that's the important part, and I'm ready to go. And it is... Ignore that. It is a beautiful day out, so if you hear the sounds of nature, that is because my window is open. And because my ignore that. Because it is beautiful and because my window is open, you are going to hear some nature sounds. I'm not compromising on that. It is it is 9 days into the month of May, and spring has finally sprung. My goodness, it is beautiful out. I intend to get out for quite the bike ride this afternoon. I see a sheep. How's it going, JB? Welcome in. I'm talking about what a beautiful day it is. You, my friend, by the way, are welcome to join in voice if you'd like. My butt is camped there. But yes, good morning to you. Whew, okay. Yeah, hello.
Hey.
How's it going?
Quite well, sir. As I said.
I'm glad to
Sorry,
hear that.
mic.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
My microphone.
Your microphone is fine. Let's get you a little guy on stream. How about?
I had to. Oh, I should. Let's see. Are you doing Discord reactive?
Reactive, yeah.
Okay.
Where are my
I should be good.
sources?
Probably.
Probably. Show me the lamp wick. There's the lamp wick. There's the server cryptid.
Show me the lamp.
Lamp.
Bring me the lamp.
Bring me the lamp. Lamp wick friend. Lamp friend, actually, is what we'll call this source. Lamp friend.
From my headset.
Yep, that's quite the fun browser source there. Let's try again. Okay. Why are you not visible? Are you behind things? Is that why you are not visible? No, he should be at the top of things. What gives, reactive? What gives? We'll make this work. Yeah, he should be the.
You need a code from me or something? I can't remember how it works.
No, I've got you.
Oh,
I
he
just
has me. Please help.
When you open reactive, it shows you who you're in voice with.
Hype.
Yep, hype indeed. If, it deigns to play ball. Okay, let's put that in the actual browser and talk at me.
I'll hang out for a bit, but I got some yard work to do.
Completely understandable.
Make it to the supporter stream later.
Right, yes.
Missed the last one. I'd like to be there for this one.
Why is Lamp Friend not visible? Okay, hang on. Let's just re-add the browser source.
I'm only visible to those who truly believe in me.
Well, I do believe in you, and I'm looking at you in the browser, but when I add the browser source... Wowza. The wowza, I mean, this is what we do when we, alright, boop. Width and height. Shut down source and... No, refresh browser when scene becomes active. Sure, why not? Let's check that. Come on, Fujitech! Don't do this to me!
I can send you a PNG to just put on screen. If you
I can... Here's the thing. That I can, Really? Hang on.
I can exist in that form.
Yes.
I can exist in many forms.
Here's the thing. I don't need you to send me a PNG. Because... I'm literally looking at one right now. But I just... I want it to dance. But you know what? That's good enough. We'll go with that for now.
I'm not a very good dancer.
Well, I just want it to bounce, man. Anyway, everybody, now that the scuff has resolved, everybody watching, which I believe is an audience of JB Lampwick, I'm going to shout out my good buddy JB
You're fine.
Lampwick.
Yes.
Are there periods? No, there are not. JB Lampwick. I don't even know if Twitch. There is the shout out. Join us in following JB Lampwick, my good friend and yours. The server cryptid. If you the are you a barista? Are you like you are the owner of the cafe? Yes?
I am the owner, but I'm also the barista because I don't have any employees.
Gotcha.
It's a little difficult to hire when your establishment disappears for over half of the day-night cycle, so to speak.
Yes, absolutely. So, the thing that I intended to ambush you about the second I got you on stream, by the way.
Okay, I'm here. Ambush.
Is okay. Good. So, when I set up the lore for the classification of beings that is Celestial Shepherds, the literal only commonality between Celestial Shepherds is that they are capable of producing luminance, which does mean a lamp qualifies. So, a thing I want to be thinking about and or hashing is what our crossover lore looks like.
Well, let's see. The short version of my lore is I've existed since at least around the maybe 300 to 400s.
Sure.
Around the time of King Arthur is
nice.
The thing.
All right.
I've basically just been doing a bunch of different things in a bunch of different forms since then. So,
gotcha.
I've been doing a lot of stuff.
You have
I was a witch hunter at one point.
Ooh.
I was a Doulahan.
All right.
All kinds of stuff.
The man of many faces.
Heck, I was just a will of the wisp at one point. That was fun.
Interesting. You ever get off terra firma? I guess would be the next question.
I never wrote anything in for that, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible. That's the thing about not having like a really set lore yet, like it's still in progress.
Absolutely. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm okay. That's some fun space to play.
I have been in non-corporeal forms before, so
there we go.
I could have left the atmosphere. Also, I don't need to breathe.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if I need to breathe. I think I kind of run on Saiyan rules of like can exist in space for some amount of time, ?
But not like exist there always.
Right, because like when Goku and Frieza were fighting, Frieza was very confident that Frieza would blow up the planet, that would kill Goku, but not Frieza, because Frieza can survive in the vacuum of space. And right. I would assume that Frieza knew enough about Saiyan biology, given that he was the ruler over the Saiyan planet for pretty much for a long time. So there, like, but we also see shots very often of like we see shots of Saiyans in space not needing to breathe, like definitely out of atmosphere.
We don't think about that. We don't talk about that.
So that's my rules for if I need to breathe or not. Yeah, okay. That's some fun space to. Hey Jen, how's it going?
Hello,
how you doing, good sir? Hello. Man,
I have morning voice, and I didn't realize it until I got on voice chat with someone.
No. I mean, morning voice. I am doing fantastic, Jen. It is a beautiful day out. My crabapple tree is starting to shed her petals, and in a week she will have none. Her beauty is so fleeting. But yes, it is fantastic. Doing well.
I had to eat my breakfast, and I have a weird schedule that I have to keep because I have to take certain supplements.
Sure.
Wait a certain amount of time before I can eat, and then I can eat, and I usually have my coffee then. But today I got to make a frappuccino for my darling wife who wanted one.
Nice. Oh, that's sweet.
I'm learning to make them since I have a good blender now.
Yeah. So like, you're learning to make frappuccinos. What is I suppose one tip that has been useful or helpful to you in your learning process for making a frappuccino?
you want to blend it fairly fine, but not too fine.
Sure.
And the secret, this is something I've heard. I don't know if this is necessarily true. I've tried it before, but with mixed results. The secret to like the consistency of like a Starbucks Frappuccino is actually xanthan gum, which is,
Oh.
it's a binder.
Right, right.
It helps bind everything together.
Okay, so
Um,
there's a certain amount of coarseness you want to leave in the grounds themselves, and
yeah,
then
and then
the xanthan is a binding agent. Interesting.
it's fairly. I'm still working out the ratios of everything, like
Hmm.
milk to coffee, things like that. Also, if you have a decent, um, if you have a decent instant coffee, or
Sure.
you know
Yeah.
that kind of like dissolvable coffee, then you can use that just fine. You don't need an espresso. You don't need whatever.
I
If you
suppose a
have espresso, that's
frappuccino.
great. But
Yeah, I suppose a frappuccino kind of doesn't feature the coffee super heavily. That's kind of the point.
no, and that's why my wife likes them.
Makes sense. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. No, I was not expecting coffee tips this morning, but you know what? I should have,
I've
having
got
having pulled
tons
you
of
in.
those.
Good.
I'm having to redial in my espresso because I got new beans and I forgot that the difference in roast actually makes a difference in how you pull an espresso shot.
Sure.
I had a medium dark roast before, ran out of that, and I got a dark roast, and now I'm having to figure everything out again.
Yeah. Okay. Perhaps there may perhaps the day I meet you in person will be the day that I give coffee a shot.
I will make you something. It depends
Fantastic.
on your preference, but I'll make you something. I'm learning how to make new drinks as we speak.
Yeah, I do want something that is coffee forward, I think. I don't want to hide the coffee because if I hide the coffee, I'm not really engaging the coffee.
Right. Well, there's your standard lattes and
Hmm.
cappuccinos if you
Hmm.
want milk with it. And then there's something like a long black or an Americano if you want pretty coffee forward, though you can sweeten it.
My goodness, I am approaching coffee with like the trepidation I first approached alcohol, I swear.
It's not as bad as
uh
alcohol.
no, no, it is not as bad as alcohol. Yet I drink alcohol and do not drink coffee. So uh
As a coffee lover, I
mhm.
have to come to terms with the fact that not everyone likes coffee. That's
Yes.
just like it comes with the territory.
Yeah. But like I didn't like beer when I first started drinking beer. Is it would be like my counter argument to this.
Right.
But for now
No,
it
and it
is
absolutely can be like an acquired taste.
oh, certainly. Certainly, certainly. You get those gut fauna. I always say gut flora and that's wrong. You get those gut
Yeah.
fauna on something and they will make you like it.
Oh yeah, and I am probably shouldn't say this. I'm legitimately addicted. So.
I mean, yeah. I
Well, here's the
think
thing. I was not a coffee person until college, and there's a story behind that, but I don't have to share it because I've been
sure.
like yapping.
You're fun. We're here for the yup.
Do you want me to share the story?
How long of a story is
This
it?
is your show.
How long of a story is it?
It's not very long.
Yeah, share the story, man.
Okay. So the reason that I got into coffee in college
Yeah.
is, being a writer and auteur, um, I always was like in the weird headspace of like, don't authors like drink coffee or tea or something, like
Yeah,
I feel like that goes with the territory,
of
right? But
course.
I never liked coffee.
It's part of the aesthetic.
So when I started going to college, the Christian organization I ended up joining and staying at for the entirety of my tenure there
Hmm.
was a coffee shop. It was a
Oh.
ministry. It was a ministry center, but they had a part of their ministry was giving free coffee to the students who would come in.
Okay.
and then they could hang out there and study or do whatever. They had study rooms upstairs, prayer rooms, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, all that
It
jazz.
was a great, amazing place to hang out and study or write. The majority of the writing I did in college was done at that place. And it got to the point where I would walk in the morning, I'd be one of the first ones there because I liked early classes. I was
Hmm.
not, I was in the minority.
Oh yeah, man.
I liked early classes.
Yeah,
I liked
you
getting them
were
out of the way.
absolutely in the minority. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that much.
I liked getting them out of the way so I could go home in the afternoon.
Hmm.
Um, so I'd walk in there 9 a.m. In the morning,
Yep.
and it got to the point where they would look at me and just start making my coffee because they knew what I
Amazing.
wanted.
Amazing. You are the
So yeah,
regular. Okay. Gotcha. Life informs lore. Fantastic.
it does indeed.
Alrighty. Alrighty, right. Yeah. So I guess while I've got you here, I kind of want to I kind of want to bounce what I'm working on off you.
Right.
So we're gonna hop into sermon prep here, but before we do so, I'd just like to say a word of prayer, if you would not mind joining me.
Absolutely. Let me get in a posture where I can take off my stuff. All right.
All right. Heavenly Father, thank you for this time together on the modern miracle that is the internet. Thank you for the ability to connect with people that we may never have otherwise connected with before and talk about your word, diving deep into it in the case of today as I take a look at the narrative of Elijah at Sinai and see how we can apply that to our lives. Lord, I want to just, as we are going through this, as I am working in your word, I want any insights that I pull out to be the insights that are furthering an understanding of your character, God. I want my words to be your words. And I am excited, Lord, for the discussion that is to be had as I as I begin this, well, not begin, continue this work. Lord, I pray these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Nice and quick. Say our thanks. All right, let's see how bad of a layout this is. Okay, let's get a lamp man. Okay, I'm going to try to add your reactive source one more time.
It's a me.
It's going to work. It's a me, lamp man. Okay, this one's going to work. I know it is. Yes, but soon, hopefully, you will be back.
I need to get a pair of glasses like Tommy.
Tommy does have. I do like Tommy's glasses. Okay, Fujitech is not.
Thinking of. I don't have the money for this right now, but it'd be fun. I was actually thinking of asking Frog to make me a version of my model in like a smoking jacket.
Oh yeah, baby.
Really nice smoking jacket and like,
absolutely. Okay, let's pop back over here real quick then.
Really relaxed lamp wick, you know?
Really, really, really relaxed lamp wick. That's a big lamp wick. Why is it?
I can be large sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see, just... Why are you... What is going on? Okay. Sources, please work with me here. Okay. This is not difficult. Nope. There we go. Yes. I want this. Oh, I see. I copied the wrong source. Lamp wick. Let's give things far less ambiguous names, so we're not shooting from the hip.
Very smooth.
Yeah, it is literally one plugin that does all of it.
I got some free,
and I can
like coffee themed transitions a little while ago, and they're nice. I like them, but they can mess up sometimes if I accidentally push too many of the hotkeys in a row.
Yeah. Now this is a plugin that literally just kind of bakes into OBS as one of the scene transitions. And the actual reason I downloaded it was because I want to be able to have me hop around in videos without having to do a bunch of editing work on moving my avatar around.
Yes, I have actually seen that plugin now that you mentioned that part.
So, exactly. But the benefit is that it adds some rather smooth transitions to all right. So we are in my Logos software. And we are no. I knew this chat box layout was not going to work. I may have slapdashed this together at the last moment because I was like working on making my notes not Renai cat scratch that only Renai understood. And in doing so, realized I didn't actually make a stream overlay for this yet. All right,
Well,
chat box.
it's all fine. You know how jank my streams are.
Understood. Yes,
You're
we
not going to
will.
get any judgment from me, at least.
Yes,
Jen
we
might
will.
judge you, but you know, I
We
can't
will
control
refine. Yes, we will refine away the jank. We will forge our tools in fire and make them better and better. All right. So the program I'm going through, the program feels a little detached. My men's ministry pastor is fantastic. And kind of flagged some guys in the congregation that he wanted to take through a program that he calls the Foundry. And effectively the idea there is, hey, like, wet your teeth on semi-pastoral things. Like, try out some ministry, try out some pastor things, see if it is something that fits for you. So it's a
give for an opportunity like that at my
church. Man, it's like, I love my church so much. But hey, like, anybody can do practice sermon prep. But it's just finding people to rate you, right? But like,
the closest thing I've done is I did my mentor at one point did allow me to try teaching the teenage boys Sunday school class at one point.
How'd that go?
2 lessons. I think it went fairly well. I definitely had some stuff I had to, fix and change, but I haven't had an opportunity since then to do anything like that. So I can't improve.
Understood. Yeah, that is my present you primary ministry.
To people, I'm gonna go and wash out my coffee cup so it doesn't get sticky.
Okay. So yeah, the program effectively is just like seeing if I've got the chops to do things like write a sermon, like pull together a presentable sermon that addresses a need in a church body from a passage of my choosing out of the Bible. So the first kind of step in this process is what is the church body you are interacting with? What is the problem? What is the need in the congregation that your sermon is addressing? And that's summed up in the question of who is it for? So I was given the prompt that the church is highly organized, financially affluent, and growing exponentially. Yet weekly prayer meetings are empty. Church meetings are well attended, but invariably reveal a collective desire to lean heavy on attracting human talent and implementing corporate growth strategies while lacking any true, desperate dependence on the Holy Spirit, which is a... Hello, Corvus. Welcome in. I will just welcome back.
Corvus.
Welcome. It is good to see you, my friend. Yeah, so the long story short, I've got I am preparing a practice sermon for a hypothetical church body. Jump.
I was trying it out. I don't know if it worked.
Yeah, it did. Try exclamation point hug, and then put someone else's username in there. I want to see if that one works. Because I haven't actually had cause to test that one yet. Hard, I know. All right. Let's see it. Yeah, hug. Adorable. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so. Oh, and the Corvus sheep is happy for being hugged.
Oh.
Man, these are great. Anyway.
I just saw it.
Yes. Hypothetical church problem. The hypothetical church problem that I have been presented with to present my hypothetical sermon to is I have the church is effectively doing great. We got all the numbers. We are implementing, we are synergizing, we are organizing. Like, church is going fantastic. But we are our corporate meetings are full, our prayer meetings are empty. The prompt is we are lacking any true desperate dependence on the Holy Spirit. So from that prompt, I'm kind of getting the picture of a church body which is in constant motion, a stage which is always well set, no shortage of programming, and a constant bustle which is pushing for the next, big thing. And so, like, when I'm thinking about that church body, when I'm thinking about trying to take that church body and pull them to a dependence on the Spirit, pull them into slowing down, taking that time to pray together and let the Spirit speak, I want to emphasize the importance of rest. And again, not like necessarily rest in not rest in the seventh day kind of rest. Rest when we like take a look at what we have done and we take a step back and we say, that's pretty good. It's not going to be as good as God did on the seventh day, said as the seventh day of creation, but there is a point where enough is enough. And that is the idea that I was taking in as I was looking for what passage I wanted to preach out of. Yeah. So I think now I should probably do the reveal the any thoughts on that?
Well, I got a ton of thoughts on this particular subject.
Yeah, I had a feeling you would. you when you were talking about this earlier on your stream, I'm like, huh, you know?
Yeah.
My church body just got a little less hypothetical, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are my pocket expert for the time being, but the passage I have chosen.
No. Experiencer, yes. Expert, no. Understood.
So the passage I have chosen, and I'm in front of the start of it, but I will read it in a second here, is 1 Kings 19, 9 through 18. So this is Elijah at Sinai. This is Elijah after his victory on Mount Carmel, which, like, big, I mean, that's the story you think of when you think of Elijah, right? Is the defeat of the prophets of Baal. What we don't often talk about is that immediately after that, the man has to run for his life because it didn't work. It didn't do what he wanted it to do. It did not turn Israel against Ahab and Jezebel.
When I think of Elijah, I think of the time where he got really mad at God because he was hungry and God told him to take a nap and eat something.
And that actually is the story directly. That is what leads directly into this narrative. So yeah. Elijah does the big thing on Mount Carmel. It doesn't work. Jezebel threatens his life, and he runs for his life and says, "I would like to die, please." And God says, "Dude, take a nap, eat some bread. You've got 40 days to walk." And when Elijah has walked 40 days, that is when we arrive at where the passage I have selected. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a read. This is 1 Kings 19, 9 through 18. This is the word of the Lord. Then he came there to a cave and lodged there, and behold, the word of the Lord came to him, and he said to him, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He said, "I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the sons of Israel have forsaken your covenant, torn down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. And I alone am left, and they seek my life to take it away." So he said, "Go forth and stand on the mountain before the Lord." And behold, the Lord was passing by, and a great and strong wind was rending the mountains and breaking in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire a sound of a gentle blowing. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood in the entrance of the cave. And behold, a voice came to him and said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" And he said, "I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the sons of Israel have forsaken your covenant, torn down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. And I alone am left, and they seek my life to take it away." The Lord said to him, "Go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus, and when you have arrived, you shall anoint Hazael king over Aram. Jehu the son of Nimshi you shall anoint king over Israel, and Elisha the son of Shaphat of Abel Meloha you shall anoint as prophet in your place. It shall come about, the one who escapes from the sword of Hazael, Jehu shall put to death. The one who escapes from the sword of Jehu, Elisha shall put to death. Yet I will leave 7,000 in Israel, all the knees that have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him." So that is our passage here. And I am very focused on that, the kind of center of this narrative here, where we have the great and strong wind rending the mountains, breaking them in pieces, but the Lord's not in the wind, the Lord's not in the earthquake, the Lord's not in the fire, but he's in that sound of a gentle blowing. That is kind of the focus, and that's where I'm trying to draw the attention as I am going through this sermon I am preparing. Yeah, so I am using passage context, just real quick, like,
I kind of wrote out, we find Elijah in the aftermath of what is arguably his greatest triumph, the defeat of the prophets of Baal atop Mount Carmel. Baal did not answer their desperate prayers, supplications, nor barbaric self-mutilating rituals. God, on the other hand, answered Elijah's single prayer and consumed the offering with fire from heaven. In a moment of what seemed like a crowning victory, he rallied the people of Israel who had witnessed this miracle and had the prophets of Baal killed by the sword. The wicked Ahab and Jezebel were not deposed, however. In fact, Jezebel heard word of this and threatened the death of Elijah. Elijah fled into the wilderness, asking the Lord to kill him. God had other plans, sending Elijah to Mount Horeb, that is, Sinai. So as we're going through this passage, the things that stick out to me is that Elijah feels like he is all alone. Sometimes, like, we need to actively be listening for God. And then kind of the question is the presence or voice of God found in where we are at, what we are doing, or where we think we should look for the presence of God? And that's like kind of one of my formational questions as I'm working through this. Any thoughts so far? I'm just kind of walking you through my thought train.
Yeah, I have I don't want to like jump ahead too much.
No, please do.
I remember some teaching on First Kings that I received a while ago.
Yeah, what do you got?
And one of the things that I remember about this what's the passage we're in? I'm trying to pull it up on my own.
1 Kings 19.
19. Got it. Okay.
And 9 through 18 is the verses I have selected in question, but you can go broader in the narrative if need be. I'm actually okay. I am presenting as I start this practice sermon. My introduction is going to be referencing the Elijah series that my church body is going through up to this point. Like, this is kind of like what is meant to be the crown, right, of the series that is we've been building towards.
Let me read through this and get my thoughts together. I'm gonna run to the restroom and I'll be right back. So
go for it.
You have the stage once again.
Sure thing. Yeah. So the what I did after reading through the passage is I wrote out my also, if anybody in chat has any ideas whatsoever, I would love to hear them. I would love to hear insights. I would love to hear things that stick out to you. I would love to hear your thoughts on the church body, the thoughts on my passage selection even. Like, I am not by any metric an expert. I am not in any metric. I am not by any metric someone who does this professionally. Well, we'll see how good I am, and maybe we'll see how well I take to this, and maybe that will change. But I would like to be approaching this from a place of humility. I do not want to be the only person that is offering opinions, that's offering thoughts on this, because like. Big part of the reason why I'm streaming this, other than condensing a couple of my blocks of time throughout the week into one block of time, the big reason why I am streaming this is literally to get engagement from others. So I would love to hear if anybody has literally any thoughts, including criticisms, if you got them for me, because I'm here for it. I'll take it. But what I did, just kind of going into this, was I wrote out I summarized the passage so that I have it in my head what I am trying to communicate here. So, the word of the Lord comes to Elijah and asks what he is doing here at Sinai. Elijah bemoans his present predicament and complains that he is the only remaining faithful person in Israel. God commands him to stand on the mountain before the Lord. A great wind, an earthquake, and a fire pass by, but the Lord is in none of them. Then the prophet hears a gentle blowing, as my NASB puts it, and we'll break that down. And that is where the presence of the Lord is found. Then Elijah hears the same question again. What is he doing here? And the prophet gives the exact same answer, which I think is fascinating and something I am absolutely intending to unpack as I dig into this exegetically. But the prophet gives that same answer, and the Lord then, after Elijah has given this answer again, the Lord says, all right, here is exactly what I am going to have you do. So that is kind of our passage summary, passage explanation there. And I'm with that, I am then trying to start pulling out applications to the church body. Ugh.
This may not be like an application, so to speak, but an
That's fine.
observation about the passage itself.
Yeah.
It's always interesting to me going through this passage. This one honestly gets brought up fairly often in certain circles.
Mm-hmm.
But I probably not rightly in some cases.
Well,
But
depends on what's right.
True enough. One observation that I have is, all the things that come before the Lord actually speaks to Elijah.
The wind, the earthquake, the fire.
Yeah, the wind, the earthquake, and the fire. It says the Lord was not in them, right?
Right.
Those are all things that God does. He can do, right? He could wipe away creation with a brush of his hand, right?
Right.
But while those are all things that the Lord does, they are not who the Lord is.
Right.
It's when the sound of a low whisper, and it even says, I'm reading from the ESV, by the way.
Yeah.
It even says, after the fire, the sound of a low whisper, and when Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in a cloak.
Yes.
So Elijah heard that whisper, and he understood immediately, I have to cover my face. This is God.
Absolutely.
This is where God actually is in this voice, in this whisper. There was something in Elijah that just immediately, like an instinct of a created being, understanding that he better cover his face fast because God is here.
Absolutely.
And it's so interesting that detail being in there.
Absolutely.
And yet he wraps his face in a cloak, but he goes out to stand at the entrance of the cave.
Right.
So that he can commune with God. So that he can hear what God says to him.
Yeah. Absolutely. Gotcha. Those have been added to my exegetical notes.
And
so
then,
thank you.
There's a bit of a parallel there. But kind of an inverse parallel, and I'll explain what I mean by that.
Sure.
Elijah has to wrap his face in a cloak in order to commune with God. Right? There always has to be, in the Old Testament, and I know this is kind of obvious to anyone who knows their Bible, but
sure,
it's still important, right?
Yes.
There always has to be this barrier between God and man until the veil of the temple is torn in two.
Right.
The day Jesus is crucified.
Right.
That symbolizes the barrier is gone. Christ himself has torn it aside.
Yeah. Okay. And that's part of why Moses is as revered as he is, right? Because he did see God face to face. But even then, the people are like, dude, there needs to be a barrier between your face and us. Okay. Yeah.
People are so afraid of him, they can't do anything. They can't interface with him because he has interfaced with God.
With God, yeah.
And they're like, you have to put a veil on. So he does.
Right. Oh, fantastic stuff. Yeah, so they're right.
That bit about Moses is interesting when you think about the fact that even the bare reflection of God's glory in a man's face, just because that man has been face to face with God, is too much for sinful humanity.
Is terrifying, yes.
We can't deal with that.
Oh. Wow. Until we can. That is fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, what is it? Let me find this passage because I'm gonna butcher it.
Yeah, not a worry.
Let's see, search. I'm still learning how to use the Logos software.
Absolutely. Does yours come with Study Assistant?
Somewhat. I'm on the free version, so.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm guessing that's limited.
Yeah, Hebrews 10, starting in 19. Therefore, brothers, since we have confidence to enter the holy places by the blood of Jesus, by the new and living way that he opened for us through the curtain, that is through his flesh.
Nice. Verse 10, 19. New and living way, he inaugurated for us through the veil that is his flesh. Yep, and since we have a great peace over the house of God, let us draw near with a sincere heart in full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled clean from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water. Yep. What note did I have on this earlier? The author of Hebrews gets it, gang. Okay, yep, and I had the link to quite the literal veil tearing in Matthew.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, going all the way back to the Old Testament, like, and again that type, right? That type of the veil, that type of that space between God and man.
Well, it always makes me tear up a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Anytime I think of the fact that the veil was torn open from top to bottom.
Right. Oh.
God
Welcome
himself,
in, Jose.
Welcome. God himself reached over and tore the veil.
Yes.
Because he was accepting his son's sacrifice.
Oh my goodness.
Remove the barrier between him
yeah.
and us.
I've never
between
thought
holy
about
God and sinful humanity.
I've never thought about the veil in the context of like the Middle Eastern grieving custom of tearing one's clothes.
Tearing your clothes.
Oh, yo. Okay. Yeah.
From top to bottom.
From top to bottom. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Because where would you generally reach to tear your clothes? You would reach to the hem of your shirt or your
neck.
Your covering.
Right, where your hands can get the most down, force. It's downwards. Yeah. That's I've never thought about that. That's amazing. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Good. Fantastic. This is what I want. This is the kind of stuff I want. Because like even if the points we are hitting on, right, do not get down into the sermon itself, they are going to inform my thinking. Oh, fantastic. So, the next kind of thing you work through is developmental like questions. As I'm using I believe it is Haddon Robinson's exegetical preaching is the format, is the lesson pattern I'm using for this practice sermon. And you kind of one of the things Haddon has you do is like walk through developmental questions. So, like, what about this passage do I need to explain? And the first thing is that stillness, right? That it's a low whisper in the ESV. So yeah, NASB has it as gentle blowing. ESV has a low whisper. What does King James call it? A still small voice.
Yeah, that's the one I hear the most often.
Yep.
The most often is the still small voice.
ASV does a still small voice. What does ERV do, out of curiosity? Their voice.
How do you change the versions like that?
I've just got a little.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
I got it.
Yeah, ASV calls it, or not ASV. What was I just in?
I'm passively learning how to use Logos by watching you.
Fantastic. There we go. Learning iron sharpens iron. But yes, yeah. So that is. So it is. It's all. I think my NASB, my NASB insistence actually does me a bit of a disservice here, because like of all of those renderings, where are my highlights? Gentle blowing is okay. Yeah. So Jose, I'm going through different translations of the Bible, and seeing how they render this phrase, the sound of a gentle blowing. I'm seeing how they render that phrase differently in English. Because they are translating from Hebrew into English, and there are, well, I'm not going to get started on manuscripts right now. That's a different rabbit hole, but different Bibles. Oh, do I have that still somewhere? Do I have that image still somewhere? I think I do. Shoot. Okay, I gotta bring it up. Okay, hang on just a sec. I'm scrambling. Different Bibles have different, translation? You know what? I can just Google search this, and it's going to be faster than trying to find the file on my disk. Let's be real. And maybe if I index the files on my disk, spectrum of Bible translations. Perfect. Yes, that's exactly what I want.
Word study.
Okay, let's put that there. Yep, let's make that bigger. So different Bible translations have different ways that they go about translating the text. They have different guiding principles or ideas of how we should take this language, like this language that is very different from the target language. It is 10:49 a.m. for me at this present point. Why do you ask? But the on one end, yes, 10:49. On it is not quite 11. On one end of this spectrum of translation principles, you have the idea of word for word, or what's called more nerdily formal equivalence, and that is what we are attempting to do is get it as close, like each word in the original language, which in this case Old Testament Hebrew, unless you're that's a different topic. In this case, Old Testament Hebrew. They are trying to go word for word from the Hebrew into the English. So the more word for word you are, generally speaking, the choppier your Bible. Choppier is a is a fun term. It's going to read a little less like it was written in English, because what is happening, what you are getting is literally just trying to pull the words together, and we're still forming legal English sentences, but it's going to read a little roughly. Then you get over here, on the other side. I'm not going to go over to paraphrase. I would not recommend, well, I'm not going to say I would not recommend paraphrase ever. The best Bible is the Bible that you can read, and do read, but I personally am not a fan of things as we go more right on the spectrum, because the traditional other end of the spectrum before we get into paraphrase, which is, you can see here, is loose equivalence or retelling. That's where I think we start to go off the rails. Thought for thought is the other end of the spectrum, and that's your Bibles like your NIV, your NIT, and your, what is CEB? I've never heard of the CEB. The Common English Bible. Never heard of it. Sounds old. With a name like Common English Bible, but I might be wrong. But the idea for thought is, so say there is an idiom in the Hebrew that is like conveying stubbornness. And in fact, I know this idiom. It is called a stiff neck. What a thought for thought translation might do is, instead of rendering "you stiff-necked people," it might render instead "you stubborn people," because that makes it easier on the reader of English to put together what is being said there. And I'm good with that, but the problem that I have with thought for thought, as just a translation principle as a whole, and again, I am not telling you to burn your NIV, NLT, or CEB. They are perfectly serviceable Bible translations that are going to get the Word of God into your mind and into your heart. But the reason I have a problem, or the reason I prefer, let's be diplomatic about this, the reason I prefer word for word is because thought for thought implies that the translator knows the thoughts of the original writer. That is inherent in the translation principle, that we know what was intended to be said here. Which in a good majority of cases is roughly true, but just I'm not sold on that philosophy as a whole. I want to go word for word, and when something, and again, me personally, and when something reads weird or I don't get something, that sends me on a journey of my own to see what the meaning is there. So that's what I'm comparing. That's what I'm going through. I hope that's helpful. Any thoughts, JB?
I mean, to be completely honest, a lot of the reason I use ESV is because men who I trust, use ESV.
Yep.
But when it comes down to it, other versions, in my mind, other versions sometimes soften, I think,
sure,
some of the terminology.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to be honest, even the ESV softens the terminology, like rendering slave
as servant.
bond
Yeah,
servant.
dude, NASB does that too, man.
Yeah.
Like it's but yes,
if it wasn't for some of the political things that surrounded the creation of the KJV, in a lot of ways I prefer the way some of the stuff is translated in there, but
makes
that's
sense.
a whole other thing.
That's
I generally agree with you.
The KJV discussion is a whole other can of worms that I don't intend to open right now.
It's a whole thing.
And it's a whole thing for more reasons than people know. But all that being said, Jen says IVSV. It seems readable enough for me. I haven't had any trouble with comprehension. Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like if you've got a decent like a high school level reading of like English comprehension, like you can go again. NASB is what I use. NASB 1995 because of reasons that I don't need to go into here. But it's perfectly readable. The word for word translations are perfectly readable. If you want to get to something that's unreadable, you go to the interlinear. But you would go to the interlinear for a very different reason, and that is because you are actually expressly interested in what the underlying language is and what the underlying language says. And that's something I try to be careful about, because I don't even know enough to be dangerous. And saying that I do know enough to be dangerous in the cases of Hebrew and Greek is an exercise in pride that I don't want to undertake right now. That being said, I still go to the Hebrew and Greek when something looks fishy. And that's another thing I absolutely adore about Logos, and transitions me perfectly into my next point here, is that I can just kind of right-click a word or phrase, and I can get the underlying language. So, this gentle blowing, this still small voice, what is the actual Hebrew under the hood here? Are we ready?
I already looked it up, but
yeah. Gentle.
Because I'm the same type of way. I want to know what a word is and what it means.
Yep. So gentle is demamach, and it is calm. And blowing is scarce, fine, is daka, is scarce, fine, small, or soft. So what Elijah hears is the sound, the noise, the kol, the voice of a still small. Which is fascinating to think about. Like, it is the voice of a still small in Hebrew. And, like, that activates the brain in a way that, like, none of the English translations really do, at least for me. What are your thoughts, JV?
Yeah, some of the other places that word is rendered, like in Psalm 107.
Yeah.
It's rendered as still, as in the Lord stills the storm.
Quiets the storm, which is perfect, because we've literally just had all of these demonstrations of the Lord's might and Lord's power, followed up by the voice of a still small.
Yeah. And the idea of, once again, the idea of all of these grand displays of God's power, but he's not in those things.
Right. That is neither who he is.
The idea of God not being in them is extremely important.
Yes.
Because if you think about, let's go back to Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
The pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire.
Right.
Those were direct and specific signs of God's presence among the Israelites.
Yeah.
He was in those things, so to speak.
Absolutely. I mean, let's go back.
Way that he would eventually
keep going.
be in the tabernacle.
He's
among his people.
Yes.
But he's not in these grand displays. He does them, but he is not in them.
Yep.
It is when the still small sounds in Elijah's ears somehow, that Elijah, as a created being, as I said earlier, recognizes that he is about to be in the presence of God, because God is in the still small.
You know what is so do you see where I've got these highlights here
Yes.
of the red? So God commands Elijah here to go forth and stand on the mountain before the Lord. Then all of the crazy happens, including the small voice, and then Elijah goes out and stands on the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
So none of the right, to your point, like Elijah feels like he is in a rather stubborn spot right now, right? We had our discussion last week where Elijah said, "Hey God, would you just kill me?" And God said, "Get up, Buster, you've got some more walking to do." But now God gives him a command to go out and stand before the Lord, and Elijah does not do so until the Lord arrives in that still small, right? Until that he cannot ignore that presence.
What's interesting thinking about going back to the previous iteration of Sinai.
Yeah.
In history.
Yes.
The Lord said, for this amount of time, I think it was like 3 days or something like that, for this amount of time, no one is to approach the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Even an animal that gets near it must be put to death.
Stoned to death, yes.
They will die.
Mm-hmm.
And then there comes a point, the thundering, the black cloud rests upon the top of the mountain, and everyone looking up at it knows God is there.
Right.
Do not approach the mountain.
Right.
And then there comes a point at which it seems like God wants the people to approach the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, Moses, you go do it.
Absolutely.
So there's almost this invitation of like, well, you can approach the mountain now.
Yes.
You didn't approach it while I said not to approach it, but you can approach the mountain now.
Here.
Yep. I am here. I am your God. I am here for you.
Absolutely.
And the people were like, no, we can't. We're going to send Moses to do
We're going to send the representative.
Yeah.
Representative. Absolutely.
Head. That's a whole thing on its own.
Yeah, and another kind of fascinating, and I'm spilling out my exegetical notes just as we're here chatting, but like another very interesting thing, and I haven't decided how much I want to focus on it, is Elijah's in a cave on the mountain. Mm-hmm. Moses was atop the mountain. Like, yes. There is a rank difference there as well, and I think this is something that is articulated in Jewish thought throughout the ages.
Sorry, continue.
No, please. What do you got?
Moses was a type of Christ.
Yes.
Elijah is not.
Mm-hmm.
Moses is included amongst those who, in a way, went before the Christ in dwelling before God as his representative.
Right.
For his people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually Christ would come and become the perfect one of those, and you don't need any more after that, right?
Yes.
He becomes the perfect prophet, the perfect priest, the perfect king.
Perfect Moses,
right?
Aaron, perfect
fulfills
David.
All of those roles so perfectly, you don't ever have to have another one.
Mm-hmm.
Hebrews is very clear about that.
But maybe sorry, not to get a little crazy here, but could we get other Elijahs then, or is Elijah only there to clear the way? Is Elijah only there to precede Moses?
Right? You had another Elijah.
Yes, you did.
John the Baptist.
Mm-hmm. But Elijah
again,
is not
I feel that
type.
The text is quite clear about that in the Gospels.
Mm-hmm. Directly clear. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And
good morning, Nesero. How's it going?
So I'm not
welcome
I'm not
in.
Sure if nowadays we would have another Elijah, perhaps the two witnesses, if they are real people, read Revelations,
which is a different can of worms.
If the two witnesses are real people, perhaps they will be a type of Elijah. But once again, you don't need another Elijah because the Messiah has come.
Yes.
The prophets were all precursors to the Messiah's coming.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Now, will we have prophets to the Messiah's second coming? We don't know. Not for sure.
Yes, and we've got to be
in the text that would make us sure.
And we need to be very, very careful because there are warnings about those who come in the name of the Messiah as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm not all gung ho on that.
Necessarily get into the weeds on cessationist or not cessationist.
Yeah, there are too many miracles happening for me to be fully committed to a position of cessationalism. But yes,
I would agree that that's a thing that's recently changed for me in my
Mhm.
beliefs, but I would agree with you.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so yeah, welcome in, Nesro. We are doing some. So I am. Long story short, I'm in a program at my church that is giving folks the ability to kind of cut their teeth on. Sounds good. Giving folks the ability to kind of cut their teeth on pastor-ish, on preacher-ish things. I'm preparing what is effectively a practice sermon. I'm preparing a practice sermon for a church body. That is highly organized, financially affluent, and growing exponentially, yet weekly prayer meetings are empty. Church member meetings are well attended, but invariably reveal a collective desire to lean heavily on attracting human talent and implementing corporate growth strategies while lacking any true, desperate dependence on the Holy Spirit. Oh boy. I can introduce you to a lot of friends, Jose, whose testimonies I trust, that tell me of ways God acted. No, that got me there. I can introduce you to a lot of folks who I trust implicitly, who tell me of dramatic ways God has interacted directly in their lives, that let's say defy our normal understanding of the laws of nature. And as I have engaged more in my church, I find these stories to be far more common than I previously would have thought or given credence to. So that's what I mean when I say miracles happening. I heard a gentleman's testimony at our men's retreat last weekend that just absolutely blew me away, and I cannot, like, as unbelievable as what he said was, and it's also not my testimony to share, as unbelievable as what he said was, I can't think of any reason he would be lying about it. So maybe it is just a weird trick of his brain, but there's a lot of people I know that have these stories of distinct, unique to them stories of things that should not have happened, happening and like saving them, keeping them alive, is a running theme for sure. Welcome back, Lampwick.
Thank you.
If it's to God's glory, why wouldn't miracles occur? Amen. If it's to God's glory, why wouldn't anything happen, right? Aw, the hug. The incoming hug. The sheep's coming for me. Is the hug gonna happen behind Tommy? It is.
I don't know. Oh, yep.
Hug in privacy. Hug beneath the oversheep. Yes!
I was gonna say something, but I feel like it would take away from the discussion.
No, I understand. We're gonna I think I know, generally speaking. We're gonna pass that one over. The sheep. We're gonna pass that sheep over. No. Just like Passover! Tommy, come over here. I need some blood. Anyway.
Oh no, Tommy.
Tommy,
hold on. Let me splash some mud on you real quick. Hold on.
Tommy, let me give you a blemish real quick. The Tommy lore is that I could not hurt him if I tried. He is indestructible and barely actually tied to the laws of nature.
Well, fortunately, we do not live under the old covenant anymore.
Yes.
Therefore, he does not need to be sacrificed.
Precisely. We have a perfect Passover lamb, and his name is Jesus Christ.
Amen.
But yes, all that to be said, I'm writing a hypothetical sermon for a hypothetical church body that is very big. Numbers go boom. Make things happen, get all those good preachers, get all those good talents, with a lack of focus on the Spirit and on desperate prayer. So the passage that I have picked to address this is 1 Kings 9 through 18, which is the narrative of Elijah at Sinai, as he is in the presence of the Lord has sent him to Sinai. The Lord passes by. Tell me is currently so much to you. I'm glad, Jose. Oh man, I am excited, Jose, for that. You are one with the Tommy. That is fantastic. Jose is working on my on the theme of Tommy right now. I don't suppose I could. there is a certain amount of plagiarism that is allowed, Nesero, and we call those quotes. So I'll take a look at it. Actually, let me actually note that down, because that would be like if we can pull something out of there that applies to, where should this go? This should go
theoretically. The way it works in the way it works in academic writing, of course, is that if a quote aids you in your premise, as long as you properly cite it,
you're good.
You can use it.
Yeah, and like I like literally every time. Most times I listen to a preacher in the pulpit, be it my own preacher or somebody I'm listening to on YouTube, there is a quote in there, and it's like, in the words of the great blah blah blah, or in the words of, or this guy said it. Yeah.
In a sermon especially, if a quote furthers the glory of whatever truth from the Bible that you're pulling out, or aids in understanding a difficult passage, there is no reason not to use it.
Let's get that formatted precisely. Like I'm trying to make a point. I'm trying to convince people of a thing, and the thing I'm trying to convince people right now is we need to take some time, slow down, and pray. Like we need to step back. We need to not be as focused on the numbers, on the actually, now's probably a pretty good time to get to the meat of this, which is my sermon structure, which I've actually... Okay, chat. Can I actually... If I just left align this image, does that fix my problem? Yeah, rather than having to mess around with OBS. That's fantastic. So, I have titled my sermon, and it's a working title. We could get elsewhere. A Spectacular Stillness. So our passage is 1 Kings 19, 9 through 18. The Haddon Robinson's method has you go through, engage your exegesis, pull out what you believe this passage is saying, right? What it is saying to the intended audience. Pull out that idea, and then turn that into a homiletical subject, transition that into a homiletical subject to make your idea applicable to your audience. So the exegetical, what I kind of pulled out of this passage, the question that this passage seeks to answer is, where did Elijah find the presence of God, right? That is the focal point of this passage, is God was not in the wind, God was not in the earthquake, God was not in the fire, but he was in the still small voice. He was in the calm, the voice of calm small, right? So that is, Elijah finds the presence of God in the stillness. That, I think, is the thrust of what is happening in this passage. So then we go to, like, the homiletical subject of, we are a church body that does not have a... Like, the problem is this church body does not have a desperate dependence on the Spirit. Is not really... We are moving, we are bustling, we are pushing ahead, but we are not stopping and listening for the voice of God. So the homiletical subject, the question I'm seeking to answer, is, how do we hear the voice of God? The complement to this is, the voice of God can be heard when we are in the presence of God. So the idea, then, is we hear the voice of God in the presence of God. That is to say, we hear the voice of God in stillness, not spectacle. And then...
hey...
Oh, welcome in, Elijah. Thanks for you are here right as we get to the meat of what I am trying to accomplish. Welcome in. Glad to see you.
I had a feeling it doesn't. It's something that I'm like honing in on the passage. It doesn't necessarily have to directly.
Okay. Let me finish off, and then I want to hear it.
Please do.
So the purpose of this sermon, what it all boils down to is, as a result of the sermon, I want my listeners to make an effort to still themselves and hear God's voice in regular prayer. Ideally as a body, but anything that I am trying to motivate in the body needs to first happen at an individual level. I am speaking to people who are corporately busy, but I need each of them to hear and understand that we need things to slow down, that we need to rest and hear the presence of God. Yeah. What's the thought, Lampwick? Hit me with it.
So what I was honing in on was the location of this encounter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the cave.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to me. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but the remoteness and exclusivity of
Yes.
this setting, the cave.
Yes.
And obviously, this is at a specific time in history where Elijah is one of the few faithful men to God. He is the only prophet at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
The others had been killed.
Yeah, are 50 stone in the cave still at this point, or were those fine? And regardless, there are very few like actual faithful prophets. The point stands.
He is one of the few.
Yes.
And in fact, one of the few faithful still left in Israel. If you continue on in the passage,
yes,
you see that. But the exclusivity of this, once again, there is a type, a shadow of something that is to reflect what we have after the Messiah comes.
Yes.
And yet the Messiah makes all things correct or right as they should be.
Mm-hmm.
In Christ's coming, we see him opening the way to God in both a corporate and a personal sense.
Absolutely.
Right? So we have the indwelling spirit if we are in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, we have access to that cave where we can meet with God in the still small, in the low whisper. But the church as a whole has access to God as a corporate body, similar to the way that Israel did, but in a more perfected sense because the curtain has been torn in two.
I like
we
that.
We no longer have that barrier
actually.
Between God and us because it has been opened through the curtain of Christ's flesh.
Yes.
The verse in Hebrews that we looked up earlier in 10:20, I think.
Yes. So I really like that. We have access to both the cave and the top of Mount Carmel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll workshop that. But the idea is we have access to both the still small, we have access to the stillness, the voice of God, as well as corporately we have access to God as as the head of our church, right? As our we have access to God as our intercessor, we have got access to God as our deliverer, we have access to God as our king. Like we have that public access to him. He is yeah. Okay. So it's that private and public access. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. You are filling out my notes, JB. Something wonderful. You are getting.
See if the passage in Psalm 46, I believe, the words "be still and know that I am God," if "still" is linguistically related to what we're looking at.
I do think I've looked at that already. I don't think so, but I might be a study assistant. Yeah. Where is B?
I was just trying to see. I don't think so from what I'm seeing here. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a parallel to First Kings.
Gotcha.
Because I think "be still" might be a separate phrase.
Yeah, I think it is. There is a Psalm 45, Psalm 46. Yeah, because this is the Lord rush. I think I wanted to use. I was considering preaching out of this first. Where is it? Cease striving and know that I am God. Yeah, I think it is cease. Like it is like release, let go versus the stillness. But yeah, it's a good thought for sure. Oh man, again, sometimes I go NASB. Like I like the NASB a lot, but sometimes I read a passage of cease striving and know that I am God, and wish that they had just gone with be still. I get it.
Yeah, the "be still" is stop fighting, basically.
Right.
Lay down, stop fighting.
Go slack. Yes.
Yeah.
I guess if they hadn't put the striving in italics here, like, they should, like, I would like this more. Because the striving, there is no underline, when the NASB does anything in italics, it is effectively a bracketed word. It is, hey, this wasn't in the original text. So, cease and know that I am God actually kind of slaps, though, is the thing.
Yeah. Just stop.
Yes. Oh my goodness gracious. Don't.
Don't is great.
Hang on. Where is it?
God looking you square in the face. Don't.
Know
that I am God.
Oh, I gotta make a meme edit for this now. Let me find it.
Quit wrestling God before he pops your head. That's correct. That's
Quit
correct.
wrestling God before... Absolutely. But yes, I'm just imagining... give me
Also,
the
hi,
image.
Elijah. Yes, I'm doing well today. Thank you. I see your chats a little later because I'm relying on a slightly delayed chat box.
Here, this.
Hold on.
This is what I am thinking of.
Whatever you
do. Don't. This
Random
I get
relevant meme.
Oh man.
From the server.
JB, if you don't know about Scarfolk Council, it's right. It is a town. Scarfolk is a town in northwest England that did not progress beyond 1979. Instead, the entire decade of the 1970s loops ad infinitum. So it's creepy English, like, countryside suburb horror. I
love that.
Yeah, it's very, like, Welcome to Night Vale-esque.
Ooh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, it's the type of stuff that I am careful about engaging with, but, like, it is, like, because it's mentioning, sorcery and a lot of, like, pagan stuff or whatever, but it's doing it in such a tongue-in-cheek manner that I feel I can engage with it in good conscience. But
this is my bread and butter.
Yes, yeah, no, it's right. It is right up your alley. So
yeah. So
yeah, it's Scarfolk Council, and they've just got it's little blog posts of, like,
I just looked it up and bookmarked it. I'll
fantastic. Not another rabbit hole. Always rabbit holes. All the rabbit holes.
I'm holding back a lot to not derail things.
Here's the thing, man. Again, all of the discussion that we have, parallel and tangential to this, is informing the way I am thinking about it. Like, it's not like I am disengaging my brain from what I intend to be working on, right?
I'm a little less mentally disciplined.
Sure.
Therefore, I do get easily derailed.
Understood.
Like, I just don't want to be the source of derailment for someone else. Because once again, this is your show.
Mm-hmm.
Your circus, your monkeys. I don't want to be the monkey that's throwing poo everywhere.
JB, if I ever feel like you are taking us off, like, irreparably off script, I will let you know. Don't worry.
I'm sure.
Yes. So, all of that being said, we've kind of got our meat of what we want our sermon to do. Then we get to the outline. And it being the Baptist that I am, it's a traditional 3-point Baptist sermon. Where the idea is the intent here is we lead with something soft, and that everybody in the congregation is going to agree with, and then we transition into things that, since they agreed with the previous thought, they're going to have to agree with the next thought. I am leading the sheep here is the idea. So point one, and I'll skip back to the introduction. So point one is the idea: when things aren't going great, we go to God. And we are going to use where we're at in Elijah's narrative to make that point. Our second point that we're going to transition to is, it's the crux of this sermon, is we hear the voice of God in the stillness, not the spectacle. And we can exegete that incredibly easily from the text and make that case. And then we get to point 3, which is what I really kind of want to whack my congregation over the head with, is stillness stabilizes spectacle. And that one's alliterative and nails the point down, is if we make time for the stillness, if we make time for God, maybe we're not going to get as big of growth, as huge of numbers, as meaningful of talent, but we are going to have a stabilized spectacle of the presence of the Lord in our congregation, which is which, again, maybe it's not the fire, maybe it's not the whirlwind, maybe it's not the earthquake that we're trying to cause, maybe it's not the fire from heaven on Mount Carmel, but it is the Lord with us that allows us to keep on doing the Lord's work, right? That is what we're kind of going to bring it home with. So that's the points. The hard part is filling in the skeleton. Thoughts on those, by the way?
I, once again, have a lot of thoughts on point 2 and 3 from some personal experience.
Yeah.
But
Do they feel applicable to the personal experience you have experienced?
yes.
Fantastic.
There's no what I'm experiencing in what I'm experiencing in my church currently is very similar to this idea, not necessarily in the there's not a ton of super explosive growth, like we're still a relatively small church,
Sure thing.
but there is a point at which the growth has outgrown the depth, and that's where a lot of the problems are coming from.
I
in
see.
my congregation currently.
So they're like, you have growth, like the church has scaled up as far as congregants are concerned, but there are not meaningful deep programs for those congregants to engage in to really.
Well, the congregants themselves who are coming in have less of a deep relationship with God. A lot of them are newer converts.
Yep.
And we have lost a lot of the congregants who have that deeper proven relationship with God that would allow them to serve and to help deepen the other congregants.
Yep.
And so we're in a strange place where you have a lot of young trees.
Yep.
As in God has planted an entire forest, but all of the trees are young.
Right.
And we have to be able to weather the storms that are coming.
You're right, and you're lacking.
Who is the one who goes in and deepens the roots, so to speak?
Get on it, bud.
Well, I would if I was allowed.
Understood. Missing the old windbreaks. Fantastic metaphor there, Nesero. Exactly. We're worried about the wind that might come in, and we don't have our mighty oaks to block it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I will keep your situation in mind, my friend. Have some specificity for prayers there, because, like, I think it seems to me, a random stranger a friend on the internet, that you've got the chops for what you are talking about. Case in point being, you recognize this as a problem.
Yeah, it's convincing those who have the depth to do something about it.
Right.
The sanction to do something about it. I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
From those in authority to start the process of pruning and gardening those trees to the point that they will develop those deep roots as they grow closer to God.
Absolutely.
Each one himself or herself.
Mm-hmm. Have a wonderful night, Jose. And my goodness gracious, man, get some Betis. Oh, that's right. You are very different time now. I forgot how different your time is. Yeah, man, get some sleep, my dude. Thanks for stopping in. I really appreciate it. Yes. So, all that being said, I'm thinking on, like, the introduction here, and I'm thinking on the introduction, the context that I am imagining using my brain to place myself in is that this is part of a sermon series that I am doing on the character of Elijah, right? So the idea is we are preaching through, maybe not the entirety of the Book of Kings, maybe we are doing a specific sermon series on Elijah. And I had this brilliant idea. Okay, I shouldn't talk myself up that way. I had what felt like a really good idea. And my Logos study assistant actually brought this together for me, is I want to talk about like walking in Elijah's shoes, because we're kind of retreading Elijah's life. So the question becomes, I ask Logos assistant here, is if we added up all the travel which Elijah undertook in the Book of First Kings, roughly how many miles would it be? Which is absolutely something that I could pull together myself, but would take me a very long time for what it is actually contributing to this product, right? And like, the assistant in Logos is fantastic. It goes, okay, here are all the recorded instances of large travel from Elijah. Let's pull that together with a historical textbook on the Atlas of Biblical Geography and say it's roughly 615 to 665 miles, somewhere in there. So I thought, and we'll see how much of this I work into the actual text of my pretend sermon, because maybe I'm going a little too far, is wouldn't it be cute if the children's ministry at my pretend church, we gave them a project to figure out how many miles Elijah worked, and we used the number they came back with as the sermon series title?
Ugh, math.
So yeah, but yes, math. But so the tentative title I have for this sermon series is Walking 500 Miles in Elijah's Shoes. In I have maybe been listening to that a little bit more on ever since I got that landed on that.
Renai, I feel like there are aspects of ourselves that are just the same person.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. Like we have very similar a lot of very similar foundational things, and also just like weird other coincidental lineups.
True and real.
True and real. So the idea with the introduction here is, hey, I am a person.
I gotta go. And,
yeah, man.
Figure out lunch. So
yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sticking with me this long.
Everything that might be helpful for you, I think I have shared.
Well, if you come up with anything more, my man, just I am a DM away. Yeah, or into the chat.
A paragraph.
Fantastic. Thank you for popping by. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. I will hopefully do this more in the future.
I think Saturdays going forward are going to be this for sure. Okay. So, and like once I'm done with this one, I'm going to do more, even if I don't have to. God bless you as well, brother.
See you.
Have a great one. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah. Let's give him a shout out one more time. That was my good friend, JB Lampwick, who is a Christian variety streamer of his own. Shout out, JB Lampwick. Yeah, go ahead and give him a follow if you haven't already. Does that not show up in my chat log on stream? Interesting. Maybe it's a little delayed. Anyway. Catch you later, brother. Thanks for stopping by. Your perspectives. Oh man, I don't have a voice to bounce off anymore. I gotta go back to to running the whole show. All right. So where were we? Yeah. So the introduction. So I, RenaiParagonic, am a human being. This has been something I have come to understand about myself. Oh, I will bounce off chat, but chat's gotta let me bounce off them. I, RenaiParagonic, am a human being, am someone who, and this is something I have realized recently about myself and been taking steps to curtail. I am someone who has a very hard time saying no when a project or an idea excites me. I am someone who is constantly, and again, I'm working on it, I'm getting better at it, but for a very, very long time, I was someone who said yes to too many things, and overloaded myself, overwhelmed myself. I've literally talked on stream before, pretty consistently, actually, going back through some of my archives and just listening to the intros of how much I am doing and how overwhelmed I feel. So that is That is a problem I have, which is, say it with me, good. Because that lets me use one of the many times, and I haven't landed on what specific anecdote I want to use, but, like, lets me use an anecdote, a personal anecdote, a story about one of the many times in my life that I have run myself ragged. I'm going to get that narrative to a point of humorous desperation because everything's funny looking back at it in context of God's plan. I'm going to then use that. I'm going to relate that to Elijah's current predicament in the sermon series, because where Elijah just was asking God to let him die. Elijah was saying, "Hey God, kill me. I don't want to be doing this anymore." And God said, "Take something to eat. Here is sleep. Here is a ministering angel. You have more to do. I am sending you to Sinai." So that's where we're going to pick up. So we're gonna get into that anecdote. We're gonna do a brief recap of Elijah, tying it to that anecdote. But the question for both me and Elijah is, where do we go when things aren't going great? Where do we go when we are run ragged? Maybe I think that might be better. Where do we go when... Where do we go when we're run ragged? Does that sound better? Where do we go when we're run ragged? When we're run ragged, we go to God. No, there's... Okay, I've got to play around with that a bit. I'm not going to commit to changing that quite yet, but... I want some different phrasing there. Where... Yes, you can... Yeah, run ragged is alliterative, isn't it? When we're run ragged, we go to God. When we're run ragged, we go to God. Yeah, okay. When we're run ragged? Question mark? Okay. And let's just leave a note for my future self. Not that I think I'm gonna miss it, but then we could go, then this would become when we're run ragged, we go to God. And then we've got, actually that's triple alliteration. When we're run ragged, we go to God. It's kind of fun on the tongue. Okay, I'm being, thank you for the comment, Nestor. I'm being sold on it. Oh, no, don't, no, stop, bad. No, come back. Wherever you were. There we go. We go to God. When we're run ragged, we go to God. Yeah, something great. I'm not committing to that quite yet, but I like it. I like it a lot. I think I like it more than what I've got there. So it's the front runner for replacement there. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that is our introduction. That gets us into point 1. When things aren't going great, we go to God. When we're run ragged, we go to God. Regardless, the core of that idea is the same, is when we're in this place of being run down, when we're in this place of desperation, when we've said yes to too many things, when we are so caught up in the hustle and the bustle, though I'm maybe not saying that directly to the congregation, but letting them backfill it as we continue on in the sermon. When that's where we are at, we go to God. And now we are finally at the point in this stream, an hour and a half in, now that we've done the review, where it's time to actually start developing point 1. So when things let's copy over our alliterativeness. I think now is as good a time as any. I need to take a very brief break. Oh man, now I'm just doing now the alliteration's just happening. I need to take a very brief break. I will get myself some water and maybe a little nourishment. I can't take a nap though. So I need just a couple minutes here. I will be right back. Or should I say, right back. I have returned. All right. So, we are developing point 1. So I've got some bullet. This is just for everyone aware. This is meant to be a sermon somewhere in the vicinity of 25 minutes. So it is not a full. It is not a full 45, 35 to 45 minute sermon. It's a little smaller than that. I guess a full sermon really depends on your church, huh? And what your programming looks like. But it's not an hour long sermon. It is half an hour. So I think as we go into this point, I just real quick, I want to have that little relational joke. I want to have that bit of when things aren't going great, or we go to God, or when we're run ragged, we go to God. And then I think the immediate follow-up is there. Now, as your pastor, I should be telling you that we always need to be going to God, and that is true. But right, we are working with the but. How do I want to word this? But it's I want to convey the idea of maybe it meant but we lose. Maybe it's but we. Well, let's just try a couple morals here. Morals of the joke. Points of relation after the punchline is but it can be hard to focus on him sometimes unless things go until things go south. Now, as your pastor, I should be telling you that we always need to be going to God, and that is true, but it can be hard to focus on him sometimes until things go south, or, we could go a little harsher, but sometimes it takes a whack over the head from God to get us we need to be. But that is the general, as we are stepping into this point, I think it is important to make the qualifier, and I think it is good to make the qualifier in a bit of a humorous tone, right? So we transition in here. When things aren't going great, we go to God. Or when we're run ragged, we go to God. Yeah, that's better. That's just better. Oh my goodness. I have the sell has been made. We do the alliteration when we can. When we're run ragged, we go to God. When we're run ragged, we go to... that is delightful on the tongue. When we're run ragged, we go to God. Got it. So when we're run ragged, we go to God. Now, as your pastor, I should be telling you that we always need to go to God. And that is true. But it can be hard to focus on him sometimes until things go south. I mean, look at Elijah. Can we do that? Because Elijah's got God on the forefront of his mind. So, yeah, let's pop back into the text here. So let's read through the portion of Kings 18. Oh, I'm going back rather than paging. Paging is down here. Gotcha. Yeah, so let's just read up into where we are at, just for a refresher for me. So Elijah girds up his loins and outruns Ahab to Jezreel after the victory over the prophets of Baal, or prophets of Baal at Carmel. This is 1 Kings 19, verses 1 through 8. This is the word of the Lord. Now Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done and how he had killed the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah, saying, "So may the gods do to me and even more, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time." And he was afraid, and arose and ran for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a juniper tree. And he requested for himself that he might die, and said, "It is enough now, O Lord, take my life, for I am not better than my fathers." He lay down and slept under a juniper tree, and behold, there was an angel touching him, and he said to him, "Arise, eat." Then he looked, and behold, there was at his head a bread cake baked on hot stones, and a jar of water. So he ate and drank and lay down again. The angel of the Lord came again a second time and touched him and said, "Arise, eat, because the journey is too great for you." So he arose and ate and drank, and went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mountain of God. So Elijah is exhausted. Coming into his experience at the juniper tree, Elijah is exhausted. Elijah is requesting that he might die. Elijah is discouraged. So we can, and Elijah asks that he might die. So I'm just trying to I want to make sure I'm pulling my ideas together and staying with the text, not going off the rails here. Now, Mr. Pastor, I should be telling you that we always need to be going to God, and that is true. But yeah, I think it's the second one here. But sometimes it takes a whack over the head from God to get us where we need to be. Look at Elijah. He was discouraged to the point of death. He had given up. And God says, God had other plans. Yeah, perfect. Okay, that's kind of how we want to get into our first point, which is Elijah at Mount Horeb, which is Sinai. And I think like the research I want to do, the point I want to make is that any Israelite worth their salt, any Israelite that God said you are going to Horeb, would know, okay, something is like there is something happening here. This is the mountain of God. So I think I want to, and let's see how well I know my Logos. I want to see if I can get Sinai as a topic. Topic. Topic guide, maybe? And if I go Sinai? Yeah, there we go. Fantastic. This is exactly what I was after. Thank you, Logos. I'm good. Alright. I can navigate an interface. Why are you cut off at the top here? Ugh. No, that don't do great. That don't do great. Let's make you like this. Okay, there we go. Sinai. Oh, I see. New names talk about it. Mountain on the peninsula of the eastern Red Sea, also called Sinahoda. Children of Israel arrive at. Their wanderings in the wilderness. Laws delivered to Moses upon. That it? If I plug in Horeb here, is that going to give me a Mount Horeb? Is that going to give me a different, or is that just going to give me all the times where Sinai is referenced as Horeb? Horeb, alternate name for Mount Sinai. Okay. Got it. But we're not going to, but our reference guide to Sinai, go back full screen. Look, I'm not telling you to leave full screen. Okay, well, you know what? Let's just read through this. How about? The name of the mountain where God met Moses and gave him the 10 Commandments and the rest of the law. The name applies not only to the mountain itself, but to the desert around it, and the entire peninsula embraced by the two arms of the Red Sea, known as the Gulf of Suez and the Gulf of Aqaba. The name is probably related to Sin, wilderness of, and may even be an alternate spelling. Sin is one name of the ancient moon god which desert dwellers worshipped. The mountain is also called Horeb, mostly in Deuteronomy, but also Kings. The traditional location of Mount Sinai is among the mountains of the southern end of the Sinai Peninsula. Since at least the 4th century, Christians have venerated Jebel Musa, Mount Moses in Arabic, as the site where God molded the families of Jacob into the nation of Israel. A Greek Orthodox monastery of St. Catherine at the base of the 7,500-foot peak has been there for over 1,500 years. Other candidates for the Holy Mountain have been nearby Jebel Katerina and Jebel Serbal. Some scholars prefer a northern location near Kadesh Barnea, while others argue for a volcanic mountain across the Gulf to the east in ancient Midian or Arabia. Most references to Sinai are in Exodus 13 times, Leviticus 5 times, and Numbers 12 times, for these are the books that report the giving of the law and the 2-year encampment of the Israelites on the plains adjacent to the mountain. Exodus 19 and 34 especially are replete with references because these are the chapters which describe the encounters between Moses and Yahweh on 2 occasions where the law was actually given. Let's grab... Where are my notes? Where'd my notes go? Lagos? Hello? Oh, I see. That's what's happening. Back to full screen. There we go. So, back to our notes. So we want to take a look at Exodus 16. No, hang on. I want specifically Moses encounters. Yes, so I want to go Exodus 19 and Exodus 34. Gotcha. Exodus 19. That should link, right? Yep, Exodus 34. Great. Okay, and we're going to keep on with our encyclopedia. In both the Old Testament and New Testament, Sinai came to represent the place where God came down to his people in the blessing of Moses, the Song of Deborah. Interesting. The Song of Deborah, huh? Faith, present, wars. Yeah, that makes sense. Who am I kidding? Psalm 68, the confession of the Levites in the time of Nehemiah, and the speech of Stephen. Okay? Sinai was remembered as the theme of that momentous encounter. Paul in Galatians 4:21-26 tells out an allegory in which Mount Sinai represents the old covenant slavery and the present city of Jerusalem. I know the author of Hebrews also uses Sinai to represent... The author of Hebrews also uses Sinai to represent the old covenant. And uses Zion to represent the new. Does Paul do Sinai and Zion, or does Paul... This is Galatians 4:21-26. This is the word of the Lord. I'm interested now. Tell me, you who want to be under law, do you not listen to the law? For it is written that Abraham had 2 sons, one by the bondwoman and one by the free woman. But the son by the bondwoman was born according to the flesh, and the son by the free woman through the promise. This is allegorically speaking, for these women are two covenants, one proceeding from Mount Sinai, bearing children who are to be slaves. She is Hagar. Now this Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, and corresponds to the present Jerusalem, for she is in slavery with her children. But the Jerusalem above is free. She is our mother, for it is written, Rejoice, barren woman who does not bear. Break forth and shout, you who are not in labor. For more numerous are the children of the desolate than the one who has a husband. And you, brethren, like Isaac, are children of promise. But as that time he who was born according to the flesh persecuted him who was born according to the Spirit, so it is now also. But what does the Scripture say? Cast out the bondwoman and her son, for the son of the bondwoman shall not be an heir with the son of the free woman. So then, brethren, we are not children of a bondwoman, but of the free woman. Okay, so this is interesting. Paul is making the... And we are off topic for sure here. But Paul is comparing Hagar and... Paul is comparing Hagar and, oh my goodness gracious, Sarah. Paul is comparing Hagar and Sarah. Paul is comparing Ishmael and Isaac here. But he is talking about a Jerusalem below and a Jerusalem above. And the Jerusalem below is the one that proceeds from Sinai. The heavenly Jerusalem, the spiritual reality of Jerusalem, is the one that comes through Christ in the new covenant. Okay. Good to be thinking about, but not what we need right now. And I don't think I don't need the Hebrews. I don't need to be contrasting Sinai with other things right now, because in the context we are working with, we are dealing with a book that is written to a people that would recognize Sinai, and only Sinai at the moment, as the mountain of God. Well, Zion as well, but not... Yes. Okay. We aren't making our separation of covenants yet, is all. And we are not using Sinai as a sign of the old covenant. Trained musicians serving in worship appearing during the time of David and Solomon. Prior to this date, not much is known about the production of music and use. Oh, we're done. We're done. We have finished Sinai. And the things that I want to pull out, I think, are... I think I've pulled out what I want to pull out. I want to pull out those passages in Exodus. So let's give those a read, how about? Of Moses on Sinai, and I think that's going to inform us pretty well here. Hello? Exodus 19, where are you? There we go. Can I, like, change where my columns are to make this more... Or is this what we've got? There we go. That's better. Let's actually... Let's do that one. Or that one, rather. Alright. So this is Exodus 19. This is Moses on Sinai. I want to give this a read. This is the word of the Lord. In the 3rd month after the sons of Israel had gone out from the land of Egypt, on that very day they came to the wilderness of Sinai. Is that louder than... It's as literally as quiet as I can make it. They came... This is the word of the Lord. In the 3rd month after the sons of Israel had gone out of the land of Egypt, on that very day they came into the wilderness of Sinai. When they sent out from Rephidim, they came to the wilderness of Sinai and camped in the wilderness there. Israel camped in front of the mountain. Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain, saying, Thus you shall say to the house of Jacob and tell the sons of Israel, You yourselves have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings, and brought you to myself. Now then, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you shall be my own possession among all the peoples, for all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words that you shall speak to the sons of Israel. So Moses came and called the elders of the people, and set before them all these words which the Lord had commanded him. All the people answered together and said, All that the Lord has spoken, we will do. And Moses brought back the words of the people to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, Behold, I will come to you in a thick cloud, so that the people may hear when I speak with you and may also believe in you forever. Then Moses told the words of the people to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their garments, and let them be ready for the 3rd day. For on the 3rd day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. You shall set bounds for the people all around, saying, Beware that you do not go up on the mountain or touch the border of it. Whoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death. No hand shall touch him, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through. Whether beast or man, he shall not live. When the ram's horn sounds a long blast, they shall come up to the mountain. So Moses went down from the mountain to the people and consecrated the people, and they washed their garments. He said to the people, Be ready for the 3rd day. Do not go near a woman. So it came about on the 3rd day, when it was morning, that there were thunder and lightning flashes and a thick cloud upon the mountain, and a very loud trumpet sound, so that all the people who were in the camp trembled. And Moses brought the people out of the camp to meet God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Now Mount Sinai was all in smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire, and its smoke ascended like the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain quaked violently. When the sound of the trumpet grew louder and louder, Moses spoke, and God answered him with thunder. The Lord came down on Mount Sinai to the top of the mountain, and the Lord called Moses to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, Go down, warn the people, so that they do not break through to the Lord to gaze. Many of them perish. Also let the priests who come near the Lord consecrate themselves, or else the Lord will break out against them. Moses said to the Lord, The people cannot come up to Mount Sinai, for you warned us, saying, Set bounds about the mountain and consecrate it. Then the Lord said to him, Go down and come up again, you and Aaron with you, but do not let the priests and the people break through to come up to the Lord, or he will break forth upon them. So Moses went down to the people and told them. Okay, so what can we take from... What can we take from here? What is... The Sinai is the mountain of the presence of the Lord. Sinai is it's terrifying, actually. Is the first thing that comes to mind. We'll get to you in a second. Any Israelite will have felt the presence of God here. Sinai. So let's make me make a Exodus 19. I need to stop clicking the links. I'm trying to click next to the link, please and thank you. Boop. Okay, Exodus 19. Come on, cursor. What? What? Poor. Excusez-moi. Okay, there we go. Exodus 19. Sinai is consecrated. Or Sinai is where the presence of the Lord sends. I can spell. The people are warned to go nowhere near it, lest they be stoned to death on the command of God. A lot of tradition around Sinai about things that were thought to have happened there pre-Moses. Hit me up, man. They probably won't go in the sermon, but I want to be like, give me some examples. Give me some of that juicy stuff. I'm very curious. I recently came into the Talmudic story of how Moses received Torah on top of Mount Sinai, and that was a trip and a half. My goodness gracious! So I love it, even if I obviously I do not treat it as inspired, but I do love engaging with the Jewish mind, so to speak, on these topics. I think there's a lot to learn there. There's a lot of caution to be exercised, especially around when the rabbinic debates, the rabbinic conversations were happening for these things, but it is nonetheless fascinating and can at the very least inform us on types of Jewish thought, or the way the way that the Jewish people engage with the text, which is very different from the way we do as Westerners. Sinai is where the presence of the Lord descend. The people are warned not to go unless they be stoned to death on the command of God, or the Lord breaks out against them. Not against. Though not. Breaks out. Let's actually look at breaks out. I'm curious. Breaks out. 34. We need to get back to 19. Moses on Sinai. Lest Lord will break out, split, make a breach. Split, make a breach. Yipros, to split, to make the Lord. Okay, so it's what I thought when I read breakout. The Lord is coming against them in force, in a manner of speaking. Okay. I recall hearing the binding of Isaac happened there, but now I'm not sure if that was Sinai because I've conferred. Yeah, I think I've heard debate over where the binding of Isaac happened. That's for sure. It would be very interesting and very very significant if that is where the binding of Isaac occurred. Because then you've kind of got a Yeah, because the binding of Isaac, right? Ooh, because the binding of Isaac is the work, right? As according to our New Testament authors, the binding of Isaac is the work by which the faith of Abraham was demonstrated. So if the binding of Isaac, right, that work of the law, in a manner of speaking, happened on Sinai, that's all the more of a kind of brings together that point of Sinai being the old covenant, the covenant of works. Interesting. I'm in the zone. I'm in the theological zone right now, where the Lord breaks out against them, but lest they be stoned to death, or the Lord breaks out against them. So it is a people want to know where to go. So Moses, however, Moses is called up the mountain. And then Aaron after him. Moses called up the mountain, and then Aaron with and after him. Got it. The part you're unsure about is that supposedly Golgotha was at the same location, but I need to check your... Yeah. Yeah. Because, like, Golgotha's supposed to be pretty close to Jerusalem. It's gotta be, rather. It's gotta be pretty close to Jerusalem. Mount Tabor, Mount Gerizim. Where is Sinai? Yeah, Sinai's down here. So either Golgotha, yeah, bring out the map. We love the map. So Sinai's here. You know, Jerusalem is up here. Come on. I should know my Middle East better than this. Where? Am I way off? I am way off. Jerusalem's here. Regardless. That is, yeah. Okay. So it can't... The binding of Isaac cannot have happened on both Sinai... It can't be both Sinai and Golgotha. That does not work unless we've had some significant seismic activity. Which, anything's possible with the Lord. But it's gotta be one or the other. Okay. Love us some maps. We always bring out the maps. Okay, so where were we? Yes, nope, completely understood. It's a good confusion. It is a rational confusion. Signs for the presence of the Lord to ascend. The people are warned to go nowhere near it, lest they be stoned to death at the command of God, or the Lord breaks out against them. I'm gonna end up like smites them. However, Moses called the mountain, and then Aaron with and after him. What's clear here, is that the presence of the Lord is here. And you know what? I think we also had some... On the third day, when it was morning, there was thunder and lightning flashes and a thick cloud upon the mountain and a very loud trumpet sound, so all the people in the camp trembled. Okay, so we got thunder, we've got lightning, smoke, fire. Can we get an earthquake? We've got an earthquake. We've got thunder. We've got wind. We've got what we are seeing with Elijah, and we've got that here in chapter 19. We've got... Okay, so that we could potentially use that, well, yeah, as the Lord appears, we have fire, smoke, and fire, and lightning, and an earthquake. Smoke and fire, but no... And a trumpet blast. Key difference. That's something to... That might be something to fixate on, might be something to point at, or might be something to leave by the wayside, depending on how much more material I need to fill out, but... It's interesting that the Lord appears to the congregation of Israel with a trumpet blast, with this loud sound, versus his appearance to Elijah with roughly the same set of signs with that still small voice, with that whisper. So, yeah. Good to move along here, methinks. All right. So, let's give Exodus 34 a read, then. This is the two tablets replaced. So, in between these, Moses has gone up, grabbed the tablets, come down, as he comes down the mountain, it is that one gift from Community, where he comes back with the pizza boxes and everything's on fire. Except instead of it being everything on fire, it is the people worshipping a golden calf, as Moses left them for... Literally, I think it was, 40 days that he was up there? I'm curious if there was some symbolic significance to those things in the ancient mind. Something about God's universality, maybe.
of the fire and the whirlwind and the earthquake, and potentially the trumpet blast as well. That's the kind of thing I want to feed to the study assistant. Actually, let's ask our friendly little AI question here. Is so in both the narrative of First Kings 19, or both the narrative of Exodus 20, was it Exodus 19? Yeah, in both the narrative of Exodus 19 and First Kings 19, the presence of the Lord is preceded, right? Preceded. Father Evan, welcome on in. Lurk. Well, thank you for the lurk. We're seeing what we can see about by fire, lightning, wind, and an earthquake. Is there potential further cultural is there potential further symbolic significance to these elements? The potential further symbolic significance to these elements beyond their representations of might and power. Curious. And again, we do not take our results from our AI without a grain of salt or without further consultation. But it is very, very good, especially when I've got a curated library like Logos of pulling things out. The search results address the contrast between the two theophanies rather than symbolic parallels. Interesting. First Kings, strong wind, earthquake, or fire with a still small voice. Yeah, duh. Yes! You missed the question. However, the search results do offer insights into deeper significance beyond raw power. God was not to be mistaken for a Near Eastern storm god in terms of being directly identified with the elements, rather as the almighty creator whose nature is invisible, incorporeal, and pervasive as the wind. He is also capable of incorporating, coalescing as storms do, dramatically intensifying and manifesting his awesome presence. Yes, of course. This distinction matters. The storm elements functions as vehicles for divine manifestation rather than expressions of God's nature itself. Again, yes, that is the point. That's the entire point of the passage we're taking apart here. Additionally, fire and cloud were specifically signs of his presence. Yes, of course, they guided the Israelites through the desert. Hello, Hannah. Thanks for stopping in. Additionally, fire and cloud were specifically signs of his presence, appearing repeatedly. Hello. Throughout Israel's history and context. How is your day going? Mine is going fantastic. It is beautiful outside. I have to get out for a walk before the sun gets too far away from me today. The juxtaposition of light and dark storm elements, the cloud. It's a rocky start. I am sorry to hear that. I hope it turns around. That functions as an outer covering veil, while God's brilliant presence is more closely identified with manifestations of fire and lightning from within. Glad to hear it. This layering suggests the elements work together. The turbulent, destructive forces went. Okay, this feels like a bit of a bust. Appears to be about mediation. These elements bridge the invisible transcendent God with human perception, making the divine encounter simultaneously overwhelming and comprehensible. Yes, that makes sense. It is Colossians where yes, Christ is the image of the invisible God. So what we have with this, these theophanies, these preceding of fire and an earthquake and a storm, is the visible manifestation. But Nesero, I think you are onto something, and I think it might require some deeper research than just my service level look there. So I'll be chewing on that. That's for sure. Smoke and fire and lightning and earthquake and a trumpet blast. Key difference. Trumpet blast is definitely a key difference. We'll see how hard we go in on that. Let's pop over to Exodus 34. The two tablets were praised. So yes, in between our narrative we went through of Exodus 19 and our narrative we are going through now of Exodus 34, Moses has received the tablets of the law. As he was going up the mountain to do so, he left Israel to their own devices, and when he came back down, he found them throwing a party with a golden calf. And that was no good. And he dropped those tablets. And now we need a new set of tablets, and that's what we're doing here. This is the encounter between Moses and the Lord. So this is Exodus 34. What do we get? Yeah, Exodus 34. We're going to read the whole thing through and pull out the insights we can pull. This is the word of the Lord. Now the Lord said to Moses, "Cut out for yourself 2 stone tablets like the former ones, and I will write on the tablets the words that were on the former tablets which you shattered. So be ready by morning, and come up in the morning to Mount Sinai, and present yourself there to me on top of the mountain. No man is to come up with you, nor let any man be seen anywhere on the mountain. Even the flocks and the herds may not graze in front of that mountain." So he cut out 2 stone tablets like the former ones, and Moses rose up early in the morning and went up to Mount Sinai, as the Lord had commanded him, and he took the 2 stone tablets in his hands. The Lord descended in the cloud and stood there with him as he called upon the name of the Lord. Then the Lord passed by in front of him and proclaimed, the Lord God, compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in loving kindness and truth, who keeps his loving kindness for thousands, who forgives iniquity, transgression, and sin, yet he will by no means leave the guilty unpunished, visiting the iniquity of fathers on the children and on the grandchildren to the 3rd and 4th generations. Moses made haste to bow low toward the earth and worship. He said, "If now I have found favor in your sight, O Lord, I pray, let the Lord go along in our midst, even though the people are so obstinate, and pardon our iniquity and our sin, and take us as your own possession." Then God said, "Behold, I am going to make a covenant. Before all your people I will perform miracles which have not been produced in all earth nor among any of the nations. And all the people among whom you live will see the working of the Lord, for it is a fearful thing that I am going to perform with you. Be sure to observe what I am commanding you this day. Behold, I am going to drive out the Amorite before you, and the Canaanite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Watch yourself that you make no covenant with the inhabitants of the land into which you are going, or it will become a snare in your midst. But rather, you are to tear down their altars, and smash their sacred pillars, and cut down their Asherim. For you shall not worship any other god, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. Otherwise you might make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they would play the harlot with their gods, and sacrifice to their gods, and someone might invite you to eat of his sacrifice, and you might take some of his daughters for your sons, and his daughters might play the harlot with their gods, and cause your sons also to play the harlot with their gods. You shall make for yourself no molten gods. You shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For 7 days you are to eat unleavened bread, as I commanded you, at the appointed time in the month of Abib. For the month of Abib you came out of Egypt. The first offspring from every womb belongs to me, and all your male livestock, the first offspring from cattle and sheep. You shall redeem with a lamb the first offspring from a donkey, and if you do not redeem it, you shall break its neck. You shall redeem all the firstborn of your sons. None shall appear before me empty-handed. You shall work 6 days, but on the 7th day you shall rest. Even during plowing time and harvest you shall rest. You shall celebrate the Feast of Weeks, that is, the first fruits of the wheat harvest, and the Feast of Ingathering at the turn of the year. 3 times a year all your males are to appear before the Lord God, the God of Israel. For I will drive out the nations before you and enlarge your borders. No man shall covet your land when you go up 3 times a year to appear before the Lord your God. You shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread, nor is the sacrifice of the feast of the Passover to be left over until morning. You shall bring the very first of the firstfruits of your soil into the house of the Lord your God. You shall not boil a young goat in its mother's milk. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Write down these words, for in accordance with these words I have made a covenant with you and with Israel." So he was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights, and he did not eat bread or drink water. And he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. It came about when Moses was coming down from Mount Sinai, and the 2 tablets of the testimony were in Moses' hands, and he was coming down from the mountain, that Moses did not know that the skin of his face shone because of his speaking with him. So when Aaron and all the sons of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come near him. Then Moses called to them, and Aaron and all the rulers in the congregation returned to him, and Moses spoke to them. Afterward all the sons of Israel came near, and he commanded them to do everything that the Lord had spoken to him on Mount Sinai. When Moses had finished speaking with them, he put a veil over his face. But whenever Moses went in before the Lord to speak with him, he would take off the veil until he came out, and whenever he came out and spoke to the sons of Israel what he had been commanded, the sons of Israel would see the face of Moses, and the skin of Moses' face shone. So Moses would replace the veil over his face until he went to speak with him. Whew! All right. A lot of text there. Lot going on, as often is the case when we read an entire chapter of something as dense as Exodus. But we are looking for what we want to pull out as far as it applies to the presence of God at Sinai and what expectations Elijah might have when he is arriving at Sinai, when God calls him out to Sinai. So, in Exodus 19, right, we've got all these notes. In Exodus 34, the big difference between 34 and 19, what we can pull out of 34 that we're not pulling out of 19, is there is much more, I shouldn't say discussion. Moses is not saying anything. There is much more dialogue happening. The Lord is telling Moses what to do here. The Lord is giving Moses direction. Not just direction, but the tablets of the law as well. So there's a covenant being made there. Made with Israel. And I think we do want to zero in on this covenant, because if I'm not mistaken... that is something Elijah is... Yeah, that's something Elijah is very kind of engaged with, is that the sons of Israel... Oh, let's go back full screen, please. Huh? Hello? Bible? Full screen, thank you. Is that the sons of Israel have forsaken your covenant. They have forsaken the covenant with God. So I do want to make note of that in our prep here, is that a covenant is being made with Israel. The Lord's giving Moses direction. Moses speaks directly with God. And do we have the Lord... So the Lord... This time when God appears... Let's get back to Exodus 34. Lord God... The Lord descended in the cloud and stood there with him as he called upon the name of the Lord. So there is not the flash. There is not the light show. The natural world trembling and quaking, so to speak, this time around. It is the Lord... Lord simply, I say simply as if I could pull that off, appears in a cloud. Which is still, again, like a manifest sign of his presence. It is like the pillar of cloud that was guiding the Israelites throughout their wanderings in the desert. You do get a sheep. That is your sheep. Let's see. I go to... Boop. Oh. Does it have to be exclamation point? Hang on. And if I do that, we can make our sheep hug. I hope you have a better day going forward, Hannah. Lord is giving Moses direction, not just direction, but the tablets of the law as well. Covenant being made with Israel. Right? It is freaking adorable. I can also, since we're playing around with the sheep just a little bit, we can also do fun things like catch gang. Watch out. Sorry, Jen. I think I can, like, slingshot people around a bit, make them hop. Yep. That's my Steam. What else can I do? Or we can, if we want, sorry, Father Evan, just using you as an example here, we can just kind of leave people out to dry as well. There is some fun we can have there. Yes, the jump command is a little, the jump command is a little laggy, depending on where you are sending it from. But if you catch the star, what can you do with? I know you guys have commands. Let me find the commands. It does have lag. It is skill testing, is what it is, my friend. Let me find the stream avatars commands. Is there like a help commands?
Oop, mute that. Nope. There we go. Yeah, so if you follow that link, you can get some move commands. I think there's also an interact. There's on Twitch. I think there's a little interface you can bring up as well. There should be a little stream avatars thing built into the stream that should give you like a little control pad. That I think is a better way of interfacing than just sending text commands. But I haven't haven't engaged too deeply with the sheep up to this point. But yeah. Yeah, there should be a little pop-out on... No, mute, bad. Should be a little pop-out stream avatars thing. Maybe that's broken. Maybe I need to make that work. But anyway, not too much. Let's can put it down. Okay, I should put it down in my panels. I will make a note of that for myself on not my Lagos notes. Is add stream avatars to panels. Okay, perfect. Let's keep on keeping on preparing our Swayman. So the Lord simply appears in a cloud. So any Israelite with itself would expect the presence of God here. Let's tab back out to the kind of the big idea is Sinai is where two very important things happened. When Moses spoke directly with, if I'm going to pull things out, Moses spoke directly with God, and Israel received the covenant. And there is, it's not something I want to go in, it's not something I have, the space to go into on this sermon, but there is a fascinating amount of similarity between, Jewish marriage customs, and the covenant that God makes with Israel at Sinai. The whole thing is incredibly symbolic of a covenant marriage, and it's some of my favorite typology because it is something that remains true of God with Israel, that he is a husband to Israel, and it is something that remains constant as we step into the new covenant where Christ's bride is the church. And I mean, I love all of the consistency in God's character, but I love the idea of God as a caring husband to his people. That resonates with me. And also gives me some very interesting standards for when I do find a gal myself. Interesting standards. Gives me standards to aspire to. I shouldn't, yeah. Here our prophet gets the word of the Lord. It is a simple, but okay, so that's I think that is enough. Yeah. I have there is a heavenly standard for husbandship that is impossible to meet, but it is what every husband should be striving for. And Paul makes that very, very clear. It's husbands, love your bride as Christ loves the church. But you don't need to stop at where Christ loves the church to get a picture of that love God has for his people, because it is all throughout the Old Testament as well. Hosea is, my goodness gracious, I think Hosea is probably my favorite minor prophet, just because of the heartbreak that God expresses that his people do not remain faithful to him, but even in that he remains faithful to them. Yeah. Little sidetrack. Okay, so we've got we're gonna get in here. So our point one is when we're run ragged, we go to God. Now, as your pastor, I should be telling you that we always need to be going to God, and that is true. But sometimes it takes a whack over the head from God to get us where we need to be. Look at Elijah. He was discouraged to the point of death. he had given up, but God had other plans for Elijah. Our passage today begins with Elijah at Mount Horeb, or, as you may be more familiar with it, Mount Sinai. Any Israelite worth his salt would expect the presence of God here. Mount Sinai is where the presence of the Lord descends before the nation of Israel as they are stepping out of their wandering in the wilderness. The people, as the presence of God descends, and the Lord appears, by the way, in smoke and fire and a lightning and an earthquake, which may sound familiar given the passage we just read through. Sinai is where the presence of the Lord descends, and the people are warned to go nowhere near it, lest they be stoned to death, or lest the Lord breaks out against them, as my NASB puts it, which I think is just a way of saying smites them. It is not good. It is not great for them to enter into the presence of the Lord without his invitation. However, Moses is called up the mountain, and Aaron is called up with and after him as well. But what is clear is that the presence of the Lord is here at Sinai, and that is something I think we can expect Elijah to have expected. Then again, this is not just where the Lord appeared before Israel, however. The Lord spoke directly to Moses atop this mountain. He gave Moses not only direction, but the tablets of the law as well. He was making a covenant with Israel, a covenant that Elijah is mentioning, and we will cover that more, is mentioning in this passage as something that they have broken. Moses here on Sinai speaks directly with God. So Sinai, in conclusion, what Elijah would be expecting as he comes to Sinai, is potentially the ability to speak directly with God. He is coming to the place of the covenant. That is where Elijah is coming into God. And here, when Elijah arrives at Horeb, as the text says, he gets the word of the Lord. And it's a simple yet powerful question. What are you doing here, Elijah? Wow. Okay, yeah, that works. Fantastic. Okay, I heard someone say a man needs to be worth respecting, but a woman needs to be worth dying for. But God died for us while we were yet sinners, and that speaks volumes for what he actually expects of a husband. I don't know if the guy, you don't know if the guy who said the thing originally, while calling women to do better, necessarily thought that part through. Yeah, no, I mean, Jesus is the perfect example, and Jesus is the perfect example for pretty much everything about being human at the end of the day. That is the humanity of Jesus is something that I really think we should be emphasizing more, because the humanity of Jesus means he is, again, we can never be Jesus, but in condescending into flesh, in stepping into creation as one of us, Christ made it all the easier to relate to God. Christ shows the way. Christ is the perfect example. And Christ died for his bride, which means that a husband needs to be willing to die for his bride, even if she's not yet perfect, right? Duh. Even if she is not yet worth dying for, even if she is a sinner, that does not give a husband an excuse. He has promised his life to her when he makes that marriage vow. Whew. I think about marriage a lot these days. So here our prophet gets the word of the Lord, and it is a simple but powerful question. Let's pop into our text, back to Kings 19. Then he came there to a cage and lodged there, and behold, the word of the Lord came to him, and he said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" Where is text? Are we going to drag that entire thing here through? Oops. Oh, I pulled... I copied the Hebrew. Just break out in Hebrew as at the pulpit. Love that. Oh my goodness gracious. What are you doing here, Elijah? Let's try not the Hebrew, but the English. Yeah, I don't need the. I know where it came from, Logos. I appreciate the citation, though. He didn't die for a perfect bride, but died to present her as a perfect bride. Yes, died to present her as a perfect bride to his father, no less. It's the added element of like being proud of her, of wanting to show her to his father is also like everything about God rocks. Oh man, the yeah. Simple but powerful question. What are you doing here, Elijah? I don't want it on a new line. I want it formatted on this line. What are you doing here, Elijah? Now, Elijah... Here's the thing. Elijah has a really simple answer to this question. Elijah has a very, very simple answer. Hey, Josh and Jordan Taylor are saying, come to their convention to meet your wife, meet your husband. Yeah, that... I've heard that line. I hope I find someone soon too, Hannah. The search is ever on. Worry not. The eyes are opened. And in the a little more in the little more in the little more visceral words of my men's pastor, the hunt is on. Now, I am not hunting to maim. I am hunting to capture. And even that's a little, you know where I'm coming from. But yes, it is, all right. 2 more people to add to the prayer list on that front. Much appreciated, Nesero. Thank you. I really appreciate that, brother. And if you don't mind my asking, is that a place you find yourself in as well at this point? Because there are a lot of us. There really are. That are... I'm not gonna say I feel like I'm ready for it, but I feel like I am ready enough to trust God to take me the rest of the way. I will say that much. What are you doing here, Elijah? Here, Robert, simple question. So Elijah has a... Ate and drank and lay down. The angel of the Lord came a second time. So he arose, ate and drank, and went in the strength that food for 40 days. Yeah. So I actually... Oh, I'm going backwards. I want to be paging, not going backwards. I want to be so many of the... Rise, eat. Tell your guy friends, as a man, you cannot wait around for a job. You put out applications and trust God to bring fruit from your effort according as well. Likewise, you gotta be... Oh, man. My goodness, Nesero. Yeah. It is. All right. So you are on my prayer list as well. Yeah, as a man, you cannot wait. Like, you can't just sit back and wait for God to drop a, like, bride on you. That's not how that works. It is... God intends us to be taking the initiative in... God intends us to be the heads of our households, to take the initiative in relationships. And there is no reason why that should not carry out to starting the relationship, looking to get that relationship going in the first place. In fact, that, like, doing so is demonstrating of your willingness and ability to initiate, to take charge, right? Not like, and again, not to overly formalize and legal it, like, but to have things happen on your terms. Now, of course, that is a dialogue with a potential bride. Obviously, there is a conversation there. It's not call the shot and I make it happen all the like. But there is a certain amount of spark of starting things that is the responsibility of the man in a biblical relationship. Ugh. Again, I've done a lot of thinking about this. Okay. Afraid and arose came to Beersheba, which was Judah, left his servant there, but he himself on a day's journey in the wilderness, and came and sat down. Take my life, for I'm not better than my fathers. He lay down and slept under a juniper tree, and behold, there was an angel touching him, and he said to him, Arise, eat. And he looked, and behold, there was in his hand a bread cake baked on hot stones and a jar of water. So he... Please. Yes. Ate and drank the angel of the Lord. Let's swap our track back. I'm getting a little sick of this one. Bup, bup, bup. Yep. There we go. The angel of the Lord came again for a second time and touched him and said, "Arise, eat, because the journey is too great for you." So you arose and ate and drank and went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mountain of God. So what is interesting here is that God does not tell Elijah to go to Horeb. The angel of the Lord says the journey is too great for you. And Elijah travels 40 days and 40 nights, sets out for Horeb, the mountain of God. So God, I as a reader don't necessarily know why Elijah is here. So the text asks the question, right? What are you doing here, Elijah? And I feel like there's a lot of answers. Like Elijah could give a lot of answers, right? Ugh, come on. Logos, I love you. You are super duper powerful. You could use some, Elijah could give a lot of answers. There are a lot of answers Elijah could give here when he is asked, "What are you doing here, Elijah? Why are you here at Sinai? Why have you come to Horeb? The word of the Lord." Actually, I want to get a count, actually. And you know what might be actually fantastic for a count? How many times in the... Could you give me a list of the times in 1 Kings that Elijah... Hello, Isaac! Hi! Hey, Imago Day! Tell Isaac I say hi back. Could you give me a list of the times in 1 Kings that Elijah... That Elijah receives the... word of the Lord. Let's see how many. Let's see what we got for. I should have asked it to source it as well. Well, thank you for the follow, Hannah. I appreciate it. Led to the Lord of the War early in his ministry, instructing him to hide by the brook Cherith, east of the Jordan. The word comes to him again, directing him to go to Zarephath and stay with a widow. Yes, after many days, third year of the drought, word of the Lord comes to Elijah, telling him to show himself to Ahab with the promise that God will send rain. Interesting. So, what this does... So, Elijah, right? Elijah is the prophet that tells Ahab, it will not rain. It will not rain on Israel until the word of the Lord says. But Elijah did not get the word of the Lord before he made that promise to Ahab. Elijah gets the word of the Lord. So Elijah gets the word of the Lord with the promise that God will send rain. But the initial pronouncement that Elijah makes, which does hold, by the way, that it will not rain, that he did not get the word of the Lord first. That was Elijah, which is... I love that. Oh my goodness. Because Elijah is aware of the Deuteronomic covenant. Elijah knows that Israel in its apostasy right now should not be receiving rain, that they have broken the covenant. So Elijah just kind of calls the shot, and I almost imagine God going, "All right, bud, I see you. I got you." Oh my goodness. Later in Ahab's reign, the Lord comes to Elijah the Tishbite, commanding him to go down and meet Ahab in Samaria at Naboth's vineyard, where Elijah has pronounced judgment against the king for his murder and theft. Finally, the word of the Lord comes to Elijah again. Well, thank you for being here, Hannah. It's been fantastic chatting with you while you've been here. Have a great rest of your day. Have a blessed rest of your day. You are welcome anytime. I very much appreciated your thoughts. Commanding him to go down and meet Ahab in Samaria, where Elijah has pronounced judgment against the king for his murder and theft. Finally, the word of the Lord comes to Elijah again, drawing his attention to Ahab's repentance and informing him that because Ahab has humbled himself, the threatened evil will be delayed until his son's days. You know what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shoot!
No! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? 6, not 7? Alright, Elijah got the word of the Lord. I'll double check this. But Elijah got the word of the Lord 6 times. Man's number indeed, Nessero. Man's number indeed. And, you know, I mean, perhaps there is a lesson in that. But, okay, so Elijah has gotten the word of the Lord at... Wait, hang on. Hang on just a second. What about... I think you missed one. In 1 Kings 19. It left out the literal passage of focus, right? It left out Horeb. The specific search results, chapter contains, does contain, 1 Kings 19. You bet. The verse in question is 1 Kings 19. The word of the Lord, 1 Kings 19:9. Thank you for that correction. I didn't have to pray. You're correct. The word Lord comes to lie. Be a significant instance occurring. Yes. Still, so the complete list: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still 6. What did you miss this time, buddy? Which I cannot cite without the search results. Okay, you know what? I think I need to look under the hood at, Okay, so I want you to... Okay. Let's send you to 1 Kings. 1 Kings. No? Okay, I'm gonna have to see what this buddy's doing under the hood. I think it might have missed one at Mount... Like, does the word of the Lord come to Elijah at Carmel? Let's check. He does... I know Elijah does... Well, isn't that when God promises rain to Elijah? Or does God... Well, let's hang on. Back to my NASB. As we're at... I keep going back rather than paging. I see an arrow. I click an arrow. Elijah said to the people, "Come near to me." Elijah's prayer. "Answer me, O Lord." Now Elijah said, saw their faces. Elijah went up to Carmel. There is nothing. You go back 7 times. Prepare your chariot and go down. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm looking specifically, Nessero, for the phrase the word of the Lord came to, like, the word of the Lord came to Elijah, or Elijah received the word of the Lord, and I don't think that happens during the Carmel native, and that's actually kind of it is a little important to me, actually, that it does not, because the point I am making, oh, I wonder if I can. Okay, I'm gonna have to do more research into this, because if I can draw the broader thread, and I'm gonna take my study assistant back behind the shed and rip him open and see what he's doing under the hood, to be sure. But all of these, let's hop there. All of the times the word of the Lord comes to Elijah is in, like, King of Israel. Then the word of the Lord came to Elijah the Tishbite. Ahab said to Elijah, "Have you found me, O my answered?" And he answered, "I have found you because you have sold yourself to do evil instead of the Lord. Behold, I will bring evil upon you and utterly sweep you away, and will cut off from Ahab every male, both bond and free in Israel, and I will make your house like the house of Jeroboam." Okay.
He tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and fasted, and went about despondently. Interesting. So Elijah... So she wrote the letters in Ahab's name. Jezebel. Yep. Okay. So okay. So yeah, I can't make the broader through line that I wanted to make of the word of the Lord only comes to Elijah when Elijah is in a place of like a spiritual low or a place of despondence necessarily. But okay, still. So I don't know how many need to get the exact number before this point, before this exchange, before this instance, but here are prophets for the Lord. The point is that this is not a new experience for Elijah. He has received the word of the Lord. But I bet it's never, you know what? I bet it's never been a question. I bet the word of the Lord has never been a question for Elijah. Directing him, commanding him, telling him, directing him, yeah. So which one did you disinclude, by the way, study buddy? You are not doing well in building confidence. 17:19 at Mount Horeb, okay. 18:1, 17:8 through 9, 17:2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What did you miss, my man? Sorry. 28, 29. 17 through 19. Oh, there are two of them here. There's okay. Your list missed. You know what? Maybe I should make it look at the Hebrew. Maybe I should get the Hebrew I want it to look at. Here is an object lesson, my sheeple, in the follies of working with AI. When you are working with AI, there is always a level of skepticism that you should be applying. You should not trust that it is telling you the exact truth. It is very good for doing things like searching through and pulling things together, but it is not always going to get everything you are looking for or even necessarily understand the context of what you are asking it. So, here is your object lesson. Here is your grain of salt. And now, I am hoping that the next time I come back, I will have taught him how to do things a little bit better. But the point is, he has received the word of the Lord before, but it has never been a question. And it's a simple but powerful question. What are you doing here, Elijah? Elijah could give a lot of answers. Perhaps he came here in acknowledgement of his own faithfulness. Perhaps he came here because he knows. By the way, we are coming up to the unfortunate close of stream for today, but it has been fantastic. I am very happy with the discussions that were had, with the progress that has been made, and with the flow of this point that that has been established and that I'm going to kind of continue on. So as we're coming up on the end of stream here, if anybody in chat has any prayer requests, anything they would like lifted up before our Heavenly Father, I like to close out all of my streams with a prayer, with a bit of a benediction. I guess I should also be looking at who we're gonna raid to. I think we're probably gonna raid to... Probably Neon. Yeah, I think we'll raid to Neon. Neon and Platylev. But yeah, I'm just gonna kind of close out this point I'm making here, then head on over to pray us out. But if anybody's got anything they'd like, again, they'd like a prayer for, I'm more than happy to do so. Perhaps he came here in acknowledgement of his unfaithfulness. Perhaps he came here because he knows this to be where the presence of the Lord is. Perhaps he knows. Perhaps he knew it would. That's a fun little joke. Oh, that's a good. Yes, that's a third point's a joke. Perhaps he knew it would be 40 days and 40 nights to get here. And knows his numbers. He's lost. Huh. That is why he wanted 40 days and 40 nights. That is why it... Oh. It took him 40 days and 40 nights to get to the mountain because Elijah is lost at this point in time. Oh, okay. That's a... Yeah, so the joke becomes an actual point. Fantastic. Oh, man. This is so much fun. This is way more fun than I thought it was going to be. I shouldn't say tempted. Was also not in a good headspace. No, he was not. No, he was not. And I think that's... Like, we have to wonder, like, if he... Was Elijah even necessarily in a good headspace when he... And again, I don't want to hammer too hard on this, but like on Caramel, he makes the prayer to God for the manifest miracle. There is not like a stopping and a consulting that happens before that. Elijah is a prophet that has a tendency to call shots, to say, this is what we're doing, God. And God uses that. God works through that in Elijah, but one has to wonder, and again, my pastor puts it this way, using our sanctified imaginations, like, what is the mental state? What is the rate at which Elijah's mind is running at the point up to where he gets here? How wound up was he to hit the collapse of, Lord, I wish that I would die. Lord, take my life from me. I am no better than my father's. Things to chew on. I think he was, but after the fact, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. All right, let's pop on over to just chatting. My good friend Lampwick is not here at the moment, but he was. The echo of Lampwick stays with us. But yeah, man, this was... Oh, you're back. You've been running errands with the assistants and got up. That's why. No worries, Elijah. You missed all of the good stuff about Elijah. But this might be I don't often say that my streams are good ones to just go back and watch Raw. But this one's pretty good, and I don't want to abandon the Jacob study, but I want to do more of this. So maybe I'll try and fit in a third stream next week and do this twice, because this was good. This was really good for me. This fostered some fantastic, like, faith conversations about things that were and were not at all related to the verse, the passage in question. But yeah, it was fantastic. If anybody, I'm about to kick us off into prayer to close us out here. So if anybody's got any requests, I'll throw those in. Otherwise, you suckers are just getting a general benediction for your Saturday. But oh my goodness gracious, I need to get out for some amount of day enjoying. The breeze, the springtime breeze coming through my open window, and sorry for #sorry not sorry for any effect that had on the audio for y'all, but I was not leaving that window shut.
Yes, I'm excited to get out into this wonderful day that the Lord has made. Indeed, that is the thought, Nesero. Alrighty, so, with that being said, I'm going to kick us off into prayer here. Heavenly Father, once again, thank you for the modern miracle that is the internet. Thank you for the community of brothers and sisters that I have found out here in the digital starscape who are willing to go in depth with me and have these conversations digging into your word, sharing the insights that occur to each of us as we look through your inspired instruction manual for life. God, it is wonderful to be in community, whether in person or across the internet. And God, I'm so appreciative of the blessings that you have given each and every one of us, of what we have in our lives and what we have in each other, Lord. Lord, as we are going throughout our weeks, our days, our moment to moment, God, I pray that you are in our minds. We are thinking high thoughts of you. We are looking at the creation you have put before us to inhabit, to steward, and we are recognizing it and the life we live as the blessings that they are. Lord, I just pray that we have you on our minds, and that we are in as much communion with you as we can be as we are walking out our lives. I pray that we are walking our lives with you, Lord, and walking our lives for you, all for your glory. Lord, I pray these things through your Holy Spirit within me, imputed there in righteousness by the death and resurrection of your Son, Jesus Christ, in whose mighty name I commend these prayers to you, the Father, such that if they are your will, they be done. Yeah, that's a stream. Oh my goodness gracious. This is the type of thing that makes me want to add more streams to my busy schedule. Amen, amen. Hey, Heaven's Door. How's it going? Yeah, it is it's great. It's amazing. And we are going to raid on over to my brother and Plattyloaf, who looks like he is doing some Lego stuff, some Lego games. Neon and Platty. Yes. Did I spell that right? Yes, I did. Fantastic. So yeah. Godspeed to you all as well. Thank you, Nesiro, for the wishes. It's been fantastic, everybody. Thank you for being here. It is always such a blessing to be chatting along, to be engaging with God's word. And until next time, my brothers and sisters and beloved sheeple, my Christians and not Christians yet. This has been RenaiParagonic, and I'm wishing you all a Paragonic Renaissance.